morning, my fellow Tottenham fans, and welcome back to the IrishHotspur with your boy, Big Dave, and welcome back to Match Day Live as Tottenham welcome Palace down to N17 as it's a must-win game to keep our top four hopes alive. As you can see, joined by a stellar panel here. Jacko, nice and early from the USA. Jacko, how are you keeping, sir?
Keeping well, Dave. I can see that you have a nice early morning growl ahead of this clash with the Eagles with your Match Day Live. I know Dermatron likes a good growl ahead of the games as well. Yeah, nice and early, like you said. Early bird catches the eagle, I guess, this morning. So looking forward to it, Dave.
And not only is he out of bed early, he's out of bed early on fire. Absolutely love that. And then we're joined by the two guys from THFC Till I Die today. Dermo, we'll start with you, my man. How are you keeping?
I'm ready. Yeah, as there's the growl. Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, I'm Steptones on here in Del Boy and Rodney. The fella next to me is Del Boy. He's the one that sells the dodgy boxes and sells the dodgy t-shirts, and I'm just his helper. Yeah, I'm grand. Looking forward to the match. A bit of eagle pie. That's what we need. That and a bit of custard.
Oh, tell Derek to get the pastry at the ready. Me and Jacko will come back with the eagle for you, Dermo.
Yeah,
Mr.
good
Brady.
man.
Mr. Brady, it's been a while, sir. How are you keeping?
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out how I look like Del Boy. Anyway, he looks more like Dave than Rodney. But anyway, yeah, enjoyed. Looking forward to it. Yeah. I don't like these gaps between matches. It's been a long time to get the taste of the Wolves game out of our mouth, so today's the day we do it and beat Palace comfortably.
Yeah, it's been a horrible 2 weeks. It's nothing worse when you have 2 weeks off coming into it off the back of a defeat. They say all you want is the next game to come around so you can put it right. And hopefully today is that day. But let's welcome a few people in. Then I'll tell you everything you need to know. And then I think I've got some great talking points today. But of course, you guys will decide that. So we'll see as we go along. Spurs GCTV morning, guys, just popping in to say it will be a close, tight game. So predicting a cagey 5-0 Spurs win. Catch you later. Big up Spurs GCTV. Absolutely love that. Davey Hall says, big up the whole crew. Come on, you Spurs. Just want to win, please, so I can watch Match of the Day happy. Do you know what on that, Davey Hall? When we lose, I can't watch Match of the Day. I genuinely can't watch it, because there's always some team that's crap, that's out there balling out, that they shouldn't be. It feels like it should be Spurs. So, Davey Hall, I'm with you on that one, sir. William Webb, 4-1 to Spurs, leading 2-0 at halftime with an early goal. I mean, that'd be absolutely lovely. It means we can sit back and relax a little bit, Mr. Webb. Wembley won. How are you keeping, sir? Good to see you, my man. Are you going to the game today? Let me know in the comment section. Says, morning, everyone. Did Richie get injured in training? Do we know, or has he been carrying a knock for a few weeks? Believe it or not, I believe he was carrying that knock during the Wolves game. So it's been before this week that he's been carrying that knock. Wembley won. He's out for 2 to 3 weeks now. Now it's Sonny's chance back down the middle. Let's see what happens, unless anyone wants to put the German hot dog down there. But big up Wembley one. We have Scott Colliver says he was injured in the last game. Spot on, my man. Slim Boy Tubbs says big up one and all. Come on, you Spurs. Big up the oxymoron. Terry Betts says, I'm really confident of a Spurs win today. Big up, Terry. Good to see you. Wayne Bonner, my man, great to see you, says, good morning, everyone. Hope you're all well and had a great week. 3-1 Spurs today. Unless we hit form, then it's 4 trillion nil to Spurs. I'd love us to see hit a bit of form today, Wayne. Oh, good to see you in the building, sir. Gabrielle won. Big up, all. Seems like an eternity since the last match. Come on, you Spurs. 2 weeks to the day, my man. 2 weeks. It's been a long time. Thomas, hey, guys, big up. I can smell victory today. Come on, you Spurs. Hopefully it'll be a case of the Rock Johnson, right? Can you smell victory? That'd be absolutely brilliant, Thomas. Good to see you in the building. Dragging these nuts. Big good day, guys and girls. Come on, you Spurs. Good to see you dragging these nuts. We also have Shem Tan. Big up to you, Dave and Jack, and the Tottenham Till I Die twins. I like that one. That's what we'll start addressing them as, Shem. V Spurs TV, I'm going. Oh, you're going to the game? I thought you were saying you were leaving the stream. Big up. We haven't even got goal. Give him a chance, I was going to say. But
give Dave a chance. Give Dave a chance just to be controversial. Just give him a chance. It was worth it. Believe me, it's well worth it.
Hopefully you enjoyed the game, though. V Spurs TV, big yourself up. Wilson T, big up, guys. I'm confident today. I think we'll get a 3-0 win. I really do hope so. Phil Coyce, the real Del Boy, says must win today. and it has to be convincing for me. No excuses, 90 minutes performance. It has to be, come on, you Spurs, big up the Irish Army. Do you know what? I'm absolutely spot on with that. Don't get me wrong, if we just squeak the line, I'd absolutely take it, but I do want to see, us do it with a bit of conviction with Villa next week, my man. Paul, Tottenham, great name. Says, morning, fellas. 3 points incoming. Good to see you. Hopefully that is the case. Rekka V. Menon says, will Timo still play on the left, or will he step up as striker in Richarlison's absence? Well, do not worry. We will get to that throughout the show. Peter Aga says, big up, guys. Think we will have a 4-1 win in Andrew Trust. Come on, you Spurs. Kev G says 3-0 Spurs win. Big up, Kev. Jazzy Fusion's with us. G'day, gents. Can they figure a way around the park bus with 2 weeks to prepare? Oh, there's plenty, over here. If there was a park bus around for a few weeks like that, the tires would be off it and it'd be moved. So there's always ways. Jazzy Fusion, there's always ways, my man. Geoff Totten from Perth says, good evening, guys. 3-0 win. Absolutely love that. We have Andrew Jones double to Romero today. Oh, do you know what? Without the Richie Prue today, I'd absolutely love a rom-com. If he scores, you might see me do the famous Klingsman dive onto my concrete floor. And then we have Daniel Sandoval. Good morning, one love. Come on, you Spurs. Big up, Danny Boy. Great to see you, my man. Right, let's get into it. Let's give everyone the match details ahead of the big one today. Of course, we are playing at the greatest coliseum of football in the world, and that's the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Not kickoff. I've done that wrong. Kickoff's actually 3 p.m. Do not be alarmed. Watch along starts at 2:30 p.m. My bad. In the referee room, we've got Johnny Brooks. Hopefully he's not John Crook today. That would be nice. And then in our room, we've got Rob Jones, and hopefully, he does well by us today. And we call him Tom Jones. That would be brilliant. And then in the TV, if you want to watch the game in the UK and Ireland, because of this stupid 3 p.m. blackout that they want you guys to go down and watch Wealdstone Athletic or something like that, they're not showing the game in the UK or Ireland. But in America, you guys can catch the game on Peacock TV. In Australia, it's on Up the Sports. And in Canada, it is on Fubo TV. And then on to the injury list. Of course, Richarlison out for 2 to 3 weeks with his knee. Postecoglou alluded to yesterday that he should be back next week after his strain. Solomon still looking to get back to full fitness from his meniscus. Fraser Forster out with the fracture. And then Session had another surgery again, and he's out for another while. For Crystal Palace, or Crystal Meta FC, whatever one you want to call them, Olise is out with his hamstring. Raksaki, I don't know how to pronounce that. He's also out with his hamstring. Mark Way supposedly out with his knee today. Decore out with the Achilles, and Holding out with the ankle. So that is all the news for everybody in that regard. Let's welcome 1 or 2 more people in, and then we'll crack on. Big up Lee B. Says, I think Crystal Palace won't park the bus like they used to. I think it might be a draw. I really do hope not. And Hollywood Hotspur, I'm from Cali, going to the match. Absolutely.
From Cali going to the match. Love it.
Cali stuff with you. But, hopefully you enjoy the game. Jack, it's a long old trip, right?
I would imagine so, right? Yeah, flying all the way from the West Coast is definitely a different beast from flying all from the East Coast. Like from the East Coast to the UK, it's not as bad as you might think. I mean, at least for Americans, it's not that bad. I think it's only like 5 to 6 hours, where maybe a little longer than that. But for like the West Coast, it's like double it. It's like a 10 to 12 hour flight, basically. So brutal for Hollywood Hotspur there. But if it's one of your first ever games, or even just going to a game in general, is a special case for any American. So I hope you enjoy yourself, Hollywood Hotspur. Absolute legend.
Do you know, I love the dedication from Spurs fans all around the world. They try to get to at least one game a year. Big yourself up, Hollywood Hotspur. Hopefully you enjoy yourself. Let me know, do you know where you're sitting in the stadium? Are you south stand? Are you north stand? Please do let us know on that, my man. But honestly, have a great day. And avail of the club shop. There's a lot of great stuff in there, I won't lie. But look, I suppose we'll crack on. Guys, if you, as we go through this, as usual, part of the deal is you smash the like button. We give you great conversation, and feel free to dictate and have your say on that conversation, by getting questions in the chat. But if you really want to stand out, you really want to answer, feel free to do it in a super chat, and we'll all have a good say on it. Now, guys, I'm going to take your minds back to 2 weeks ago. I know I really shouldn't, but after the defeat to Wolves, Postecoglou did say, I'm not a magician, I'm a football manager. We'll start with you on this, Philip. What do you think he meant by that?
He's dampening down expectations a little bit. I think, he thinks some of the fans think we should be, challenging for the league at this stage, which is a bit ahead of where we are at the moment. I think it's more or less telling fans to be realistic. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, to be fifth at this stage is way ahead of where I thought we'd be. I thought it would be next season we'd really be challenging. I think that's still going to be the case. I think he's just trying to say people to cool down a bit, lads. There's going to be roadblocks. There's going to be bumps in the road. Wolves is one of them. But I think if we'd have had the two fullbacks playing against Wolves, we wouldn't have lost that game. We mightn't have won it. We wouldn't have lost it. So I think he's just trying to tell people to be cautious, be careful, be patient. A little bit of patience, because let's face it, Spurs fans aren't really known for their patience a lot of times. We do tend to wear our heart in our sleeve a little bit too quickly. I'll bring you back, lads. It was almost a year ago to the day we were over that AC Milan game. And, I don't think any of us want to go back to that situation. Compared now to then, and it's chalk and cheese, really. So let's just... And the cheese continues to mature. That'd be the best way of putting it.
Yeah, I love that. Absolutely love that. Dermo, what do you think? Postecoglou meant by it? Is he maybe snapping back at the impatience, maybe like Philip's alluding to?
I think also, yeah, a little bit. I think he was snapping at the a question from a journalist in the Post. It was a stupid question. I think it's just Ange's way of being sarcastic. Do you know what? I'm not a magician. I'm a football manager. Well, Ange, you are a magician. You got rid of Eric Dyer. Any manager that gets rid of Eric Dyer, for me, is Houdini. He's like magician in genius. But look, Philip's right in what it says. I'm one of them. I'm one of them. So delusional. I think we're going to win the league, and I think Philip is right. We have to be realistic. We are ahead of the curve, and Ange is right to say, look, come on, lads, let's keep it calm. Let's keep it realistic. We're ahead of where we're supposed to be, but we're football fans. We're desperate for success. So, of course, we're going to be out there. But I think it was more a snap at. I think it's been sarcastic to the journalist, I think, who asked the question more than anything else. It's just one of Ange's sarcastic remarks, in my opinion. But I agree what Philip said. Philip is spot on. He's an analyst as well.
Jack, I mean, what's your thoughts on it? It's not a quote Harry Potter would love to hear, right?
No, it wouldn't. But I agree with Philip as well. He's asking for patience, perhaps trying to take a bit of pressure off of himself a little bit from the fan base that maybe he feels like Philip sort of brought up, is a bit unnecessary kind of pressure because of where we are in this project and the fact that there will be bumps in the road. It kind of feels like we were saying that at the beginning of the season, but maybe towards the tail end of it, it doesn't exactly feel that way, probably because we're at the crunch time, right? And we want to finish on a high note and finish strong. But Postecoglou is sort of reminding us that this is only the first season. We've had also a lot of hiccups from various things that have gone wrong for us. It's not like we've been playing week in, week out with the same team, have had no real drama of any kind throughout this season. He's had a lot to work with. And I think he's just sort of reminding fans that I've had a lot of, difficult situations here. I've made the best of it, but it doesn't just, happen with a snap of a hand or anything like that. I don't fix anything with a wave of a wand. It will take time. I don't even get it right, maybe is what he's saying all the time, right? It's not like he's going to get it right every single time when he does need to make a change or when he does need to think about something. So he's probably just bringing up to fans that perhaps Postecoglou isn't a perfect person and isn't, the perfect magical manager that I think we do believe he is, but he's just reminding us that perhaps he is human.
I think, I understand what you're saying. For me, I think there's two ways to look at this. I think you can look at it and say, is he starting to lose patience a little bit? We wouldn't have gotten them answers earlier on in the season and stuff like that. Or, is it the fact he's just sick of maybe the criticism being asked about, certain individuals or what went wrong? And he's just like, look, some of these guys you've been watching years, what do you want me to do about it? I'm not a magician. I can't pull out a magic wand. Look, very interesting to see how Postecoglou handles himself in the post-match presser today. Whether he gets snappy or not. But I love that. I do love a bit of a clap back at times. I'm not going to lie.
I think, Dave, he was hurt as well from that defeat. I think he was really hurt. And I think that's where it all came from. I think it was from the hurt of losing that game. And I feel that he felt the team was better than that. And I think it's frustration. So I think it's the first time we've seen him really frustrated after a result. And I think that's where it stemmed from as well. He hurts. He's like us. He's one of us. If we win, he's elated. If we lose, it hurts him. It kills him. And I think that's where it also came from as well.
Well, hopefully he's a man reborn heading into the day, ready and focused. Dan Coy's member for 24 months. Absolute outstanding service to you, sir. Says heading to the lane in a bit. Come on, you Spurs. Come on, you Harris Army. Big up, Dan. Go and enjoy yourself, my man. Heading down to the, what would you call it? The shrine for Tottenham Hotspur, my man. Go and enjoy yourself. What stand are you sitting in? Do let me know. I know people are saying, Dave, why does it matter? Trust me, it matters. South stand is the best stand to sit in, unless you're in the North stand sitting beside the away fans. Two best areas to sit in my opinion. But Dan, hopefully we get the win for you today, my man. And go and enjoy yourself, sir. Good to see you in the building. And again, really appreciate the support. Jack, anything you want to say to Danny Boy?
Yeah, hopefully the family's okay, Dan. And let me know or let us know if you're bringing anybody to the game or if it's just going to be yourself that's headed off to this one. But big up to you, Dan. Appreciate you always tuning in, sending in your thoughts, and your just well wishes. Even if you're going to the game, not going to the game. Appreciate you, Dan. 2 years of service. Appreciate you, son.
Incredible. Big up, Danny Boy. Let's get the win today, my man. Come on, let's go. Let's welcome one or two more people in and then we'll crack on. Wilson T, good to see you, my man. He's gone for Sonny. To score today, put a bit of money in his pocket. That'd be nice, my man. Big up, Big Pants. Good to see you as well. The multi-channel says, no excuses, 3 points today. Agree with that, sir. Good to see you. Mia, big up all in the chat. Hope you're all well. Double Trouble has arrived. Good to see you, Mia. Hopefully you and the lads are keeping well. And also, Lee, Neri, morning, everyone. Good to see you, Lee. Hopefully you're keeping well. Along with Andrew Jones, good to see you, my man, and hopefully you're keeping well. And then we've got Dan Coy says, in 107, couldn't get a season ticket in the South Stand this season, but we'll try next season. On my way again, though, on my own again, though, but got to know the season ticket holders next to me. Do you know what? I think that's something that was definitely the case in and around White Hart Lane. I remember, going there a couple of times and people arriving to games at different times, but, speaking to each other in certain areas, very clicky. Everyone knew everyone around them and stuff like that. I'm not so sure it's the case in the new stadium, but good to see that you are getting to know the people around you and enjoying yourself. Look, when you head to Tottenham Hotspur, you're never on your own, Dan. You might have to travel on your own. You might have to travel home on your own. But when you're at that ground, you're with 60,000 like-minded people, my man. Never on your own. Danny Boy and Thomas has become a YouTube member as well. Big up, Big T. Up, really appreciate that, Thomas. I'm not going to call you Thomas the Tank Engine unless you have a good engine to run around that midfield for us. But Jacko, what membership has he gone for?
Picked up a Flat Cap membership. Thank you very much, Thomas. Thank you for joining the Flat Cap Army. Welcome, son. And as well, feel free to hit check out Dave and I's pre-match thoughts. I know you're kind of hearing them right now, but if you did want to hear any extra pre-match thoughts of any kind that maybe do go missing or at any stage maybe Dave and I don't bring up in this pre-match build-up, feel free to check it out. We do have some exclusive thoughts there. Big up to you.
Big up, Thomas, my man, and welcome to the community, sir. Guys, we have started slowly in recent games and not reaching previous high levels that were constantly on show earlier on in the season over the first 10 games. Why do we think that is? And we'll start with you on this one, Dermo.
Do you know, I think the first 10 games were so unbelievable, and the way we were playing and the way we were dominating teams and getting results, it was such a blessed relief to what we have been through for the last, since Poch, really. It was something that we can never maintain because we haven't got the squad to maintain it. We haven't got the capability to the mental strength to maintain it. But I just love everything I'm seeing at the moment. I don't care win, lose or draw. It's a joy. I know that sounds ridiculous, but it's how I feel. And them first 10 games were the best 10 games I've seen Tottenham play in absolute decades. And next season we'll be able to maintain it. But I think it's all to do with experience and also to do with Ange getting what he wants across. And once we got this season to solidate where we are, next season, you watch us go. We're gonna be a team to watch. But yeah, I'm sorry, Dave, it's probably not the answer to the question, but it's just how I feel. So
no worries at all, my man. No worries at all. Jacko, up to you, sir. I mean, the fast start was something that really got us a foothold in most games this season. The last few games, that's completely tailed off. Is it down to Spurs players not executing the way we were, Jacko, or do you think it's down to opposition tactics, maybe setting up a bit differently to stifle that?
Hard to say, because if I remember correctly last season, I remember Arsenal were one of those teams that seemed to always score like in the first 15 minutes, always came out fast. And I can't really remember if that ended up sort of coming to a halt or kind of slowing down at any stage. Perhaps it did. And that's what I'm trying to remember correctly, because I think there's always that team every season that is that type of team, right? Comes out fast, will punch you in the mouth early. Maybe they won't win the game, but they do come out the gates quite quickly, and you have to be prepared for that. I think at one stage, probably Leeds, when they were at their height under Marcelo Bielsa, were also kind of one of those teams, kind of felt like they could come out quite quickly, score a goal, and maybe catch you out, maybe a bit slow. And I think Spurs, for the most part, have been that team this season. But yeah, recent, for some reason, we haven't been, and just been struggling to really create the same clear-cut chances that we have been, in the beginning of this season. And the majority of our good chances do come, and I would say the beginning of games, like when maybe teams are sort of struggling to figure us out and even struggling to keep up with the tempo. I'd probably say, Dave, it's a mixture of both. I think the tempo of how we play is nowhere near as fast at times as when we were in the beginning of the season. You and I were struggling to even keep up with the commentary. It felt like in the beginning of the season when Spurs were playing that quickly and scoring that quickly and just coming out the gates that fast. And now it doesn't really feel that way. Now you and I can sort of catch up, have a, coffee, have a nice chat, it feels like in the first 10 minutes, whereas I wouldn't say that's the case anymore. So perhaps it's more due to the tempo, and that's probably more with the players than it really is with Postecoglou. And then the other thing might be a little bit, of course, tactics, teams starting to figure other teams out, realizing that Spurs do want to come out that way, and maybe telling their own players, like, listen, you have to be prepared in this first 15 minutes. Don't concede, because that's what exactly they're trying to do here, sort of thing as well.
Yeah, look, no, 100%. I mean, look, the tempo is one of my biggest problems. I think it's far too slow. And the rhythm that we're passing the ball with, I think it's way too safe, personally, as well. I think we fall ourselves into a trap. But I also don't think we're good enough in possession in that regard either. I think we've become very sloppy in possession. Me, personally, I question the players' attitudes over the last few weeks. The commitment maybe to what they were once doing, as that belief in that maybe wavered a little bit. I mean, Philip, where are you at with it?
I think this 2-week break it'll do one or two things. One, it'll have given Ange the time to instill back into the players what we were doing the first 10 matches, right? Because let's face it, up to that Chelsea game, right? It was a Chelsea game that not ruined, but determined what happened for the next few weeks with injuries and what have you, and suspensions and whatever. We haven't had our full team out. I don't think we've had our full team out maybe once since that Chelsea game. We lost. Remember, there was games between Chelsea and recently where we had none of the regular back four playing because of injury. That's going to affect the momentum of the team, right? Now, I do think there's a bit of lethargy is set in as well. Players may be sitting back in their laurels a bit. We did great for the first 10, and let's relax for a while. I think today is going to be a test point for the team. Have you got the pressing back? Have you got the domination of possession back that we had in those first games? We never expected those first games, and that's what was so surprising and such a pleasure to watch. And we kind of got to expect that in every game. That's never going to last for all 38 matches. But we've gone through a period, maybe 7 or 8 games, where we haven't done what we were doing in the first games. We've got to get that back today. I think it's going to be a great chance. We're only going to be missing Porro, as far as I know, from maybe and Ricardis, and obviously from our. It's the nearest we've had to a strong team since the Chelsea game, and I think it's going to be. This will tell how good Ange was in the last 2 weeks today, whether he's got his message back into the team's head. And one thing I just had to laugh at his comments at the London Football Awards the other night when he won the Best Manager. And he says, and then this says a lot to me. He says, "Did you guys vote for this in November?" You think about that. That was when we were playing very well, up to November. And he kind of thinks that, well, you wouldn't have voted for me over the last few weeks. So that was an indirect dig at the team, I think, if you get where I'm coming from. Trying to get them to maybe step up to the plate today.
Yeah.
Do you know what, though? I get concerned a little bit about comments like that. And the reason why is because how are the team going to take that? And we know in recent years that dressing room doesn't like criticism whatsoever. They can't handle it. They don't like digs being thrown at them in press conferences and stuff like that. And I get concerned a little bit like that when you see players not implementing the way they were in the first few games of the season, when you see sloppy goals being conceded, like no one jumping for the corner kick against Wolves, Bissouma not throwing, making up the ground, but not throwing his head over his shoulder to be aware of the danger. I wonder, are they starting to maybe pull apart from each other? Do you know what? If it is the case, I wouldn't blame Ange Postecoglou either. They've done it to Conte, they've done it to Jose, they've done it to other managers. So, I get concerned a little bit like that because Postecoglou was never one for maybe putting little digs out like that in statements and stuff like that. It was always, he was out there protecting everybody. And that started to change recently. We'll see how the next few weeks go. But concerns
Dave,
me a little.
A lot of the guys that caused the problems are no longer at the club. That could be a factor as well. The guys who would have caused the problem with that in the past are no longer there. So maybe this new breed doesn't have the same sensitivities. I can only hope that they don't.
I hope so. I really do hope so, Philip. But look, moving on, guys. Ange has come in for a lot of criticism since the Wolves defeat, with many questioning Ange's tactics. Is Ange Postecoglou's tactics the real problem here? Or is it the players' attitudes towards his tactics that need to change? Now, the reason why I ask that is because we look at the first 10 games, everyone was at you just take the press as a bite-sized example. Fullbacks went, midfielders went, forward line went. Last few weeks, all you're seeing is Richarlison go and everyone else off it. And a lot of people are saying, we're too vulnerable to the counter. But as we all know, if you don't do a coordinated press, it's easy to pop the ball through the lines and hit you on the counter. So, Jack, we'll ask you, we'll kick this one off with you. I mean, again, Ange Postecoglou comes in for a lot of criticism and takes a lot of the blame for everything that goes wrong from the Spurs fans. But is there a bit of an attitude problem from the squad? Because no one can tell me they're doing what they were in the first 10-game seasons. No one.
Attitude problem is a hard one to define for me, right? Because it can be one that can be a negative one, or it could just be one where just something is slightly off with kind of the concentration levels or kind of maybe the motivation levels of some of these players. I'd lean towards the latter in that case. If there happens to be any sort of kind of issues around adapting or kind of continuing to understand sort of Ange's tactics, I wouldn't be surprised that over the course of a season, when there are defeats and when there are games where you feel like, perhaps the tactics or the system isn't really suited for the team or wherever you might be coming up against, you start to get a few doubters. You start to get guys that maybe don't believe as much in the tactics as others do. That happens, right? I think with every team, there will be players that really adopt and really believe in what the manager is trying to instill. And then there will be others kind of over the course of time that start to lose that faith, start to lose that sort of, that trust in what the manager is actually trying to have you guys do on the pitch. I'd be surprised, though, Dave, if that's already the case, with a lot of these guys. I'd be disappointed if that's the case with a lot of these guys because they made such a fuss with guys like Nuno, guys like Jose, guys like Conte with the style of play. So for them to then, sort of be too good for this sort of style as well, like they have problems with this, it would really frustrate me and it would really disappoint me. So I'm gonna believe that perhaps it's more because of the lack of playing. Like, we just have to wait 2 weeks between every single game. It's this sort of time where we're more often on the training pitch than we actually are like playing games and actually practicing what Ange Postecoglou is trying to train with them on the pitch. And that's what I potentially add to the mix here, is that maybe the lack of playing time, just the lack of being able to work on things sort of in the real games, does perhaps hurt us or weaken us and makes it so that we have these inconsistent games and these inconsistent starts because there's no real run to be made because we only play so often. Like, it's actually hard to start a run when you're playing every 8 days, 9 days type of thing.
Look, I hear you on that. I'm just a little bit concerned myself about it because, Jack, would you be surprised to hear that we're only 2 points better off than what we were under Conte last season?
I've heard that from like midway through the season, like that we're kind of right on track with where we were with Antonio Conte. I'm not that surprised, actually, to be honest, because I think you and I were saying similar things last season. Like it felt like we were actually, despite all that was going wrong under an Antonio Conte, and despite all of the issues we were having, Spurs were kind of just chucking along and, still able to just kind of get it done and get majority of, the points that were needed. Yes, there were some bad ones here and there, but it is interesting to think about, like, so what do the players want, right? Do they want to be, back to the old days of Conte where you're kind of just struggling through every game, fighting for every point in that way? Or do you want to play this sort of style and try to beat teams convincingly? I think it's their choice. And it's weird that, like you're saying, they don't seem to be fully hearted, or fully down with one or the other.
Look, I'll give my views on it in a minute. We'll pass it down to you, Philip. I mean, where are you at with it? Ange Postecoglou has come in for criticism all season long on his tactics. After we've seen, the initial 10 games go well under previous managers before, but then all of a sudden a drop-off comes. And recently it has become concerning. We're not creating chances. We're not playing well. And we're not defending well either, Philip. I mean, down to players' attitude or down to Ange Postecoglou to fix?
Also down to other managers watching us and learning and adjusting their tactics to be more effective against us in the early stage of the season when teams didn't know what to do against us because we were such a revelation at that stage. I mean, everything goes on. As the season goes on, I won't say he's been found out, but his tactics are now being more easily.
But he said he's not going to change.
Sorry?
He said he's not going to change.
No, he probably won't change. No, he won't change. I mean, and I don't want him really to change because, I mean, let's face it, win or lose, we're seeing some attractive football. Like the last couple of seasons under Ange or under Conte, I mean, that was anti-football. I mean, that was killing my love for the club, and I thought I'd never say that, I mean, okay, I hate losing, but I'd rather lose going for it than lose playing absolutely defensive crap, six at the back or whatever, so he's not going to change. He's not going to change. He's going to change slightly. He's going to tweak it. He's not that stupid. He's going to leave it exactly the same every game. He's going to tweak it to suit the opposition by minor little things that we mightn't even notice unless we're really up and high up on the stand looking down, because you don't really see it on TV. The Dermot will I can confirm that. When you're at a match, you spot an awful lot more going on the pitch than you do watching it on Sky or something like that. So he's not going to change. He's probably justified in some of the criticism that's got, but not all of it. I mean, good God, the man is in his first season in the Premiership. It's not as if he's managed 3 or 4 Premiership clubs before, and he's just moved on to Tottenham. This is as new to him as it is to us.
That's probably why he's not getting, the same grace that other managers would have got through bad periods, right? Maybe, because he hasn't managed at this level before.
Well, and I'll tell you what else. There's an awful lot of the fact that he managed in Scotland, right? Now he revolutionised Celtic the 2 seasons he was there. But to a lot of people, the Scottish League is a farmers' league, and anyone can be successful up there if you manage in Celtic. I could do a job managing Celtic. That's the attitude. Now he's come down from a very successful period there. He's moved up a level. He's moved to a huge level up to the Premiership, and like everyone else, like the players are learning his ways. He's learning their ways. And I'll go what I've been saying all season. Next season is the one we judge him on. This is the season for bedding in. Next season is watch us fly.
Okay. Look. I'm with you. I'm going to give a defense of Ange Postecoglou in a minute once we hear what Dermo has to say. I think people need to grab some cojones and stop, running at the first sign of trouble. Sometimes you got to stand there front it and go through them periods to come out the other side. Dermo, where are you at with it? Recently there's been a lot of complaints from fans, about the level of performances, a lot of people, I would say most people, go straight to Ange Postecoglou, saying that he needs to change, he needs to adapt this, that, and the other. Do you put the last few performances down to him solely?
No, I put it on the players. They're the ones going out. He gives them the tactics, he gives them the tools to win that football match, and they're not following what he's telling them to do, or they can't do what he's asking them to do. Look, Ange will evolve and he will adapt, like any manager would in the Premier League. But look, Ange Postecoglou is the best thing that's happened to Tottenham Hotspur in years. Philip is right. The Conte was anti-football. Nuno, that was a disaster. Mourinho, that was a disaster. So I think the players have to take responsibility. It's easy for us just to point the finger at the manager. Well, do you know, there's people saying we want Ange out now and he can't manage in the Premier League, or he's being out tactic by this and that manager and that manager. Well, who's on the pitch playing football? It's not Ange Postecoglou. He's on the touchline. It's the players that have to take responsibility. It's the players that have to hold their hands up and say, sorry, lads, sorry, we couldn't get it right. He gives them the tools, and it's down to the players to do that job. You can't blame the tools. A bad workman always blames his tools. It's not the tool's fault. You're the one holding the hammer or the saw or whatever, or the screwdriver. You have to do it. It's down to the players. And I'm sick to death of everyone complaining at Ange's. He's wrong and he's not a good manager. Everyone's going to make tactical mistakes. Everyone's not going to get it right every game. He's not Alex Ferguson. He's not going to go through the whole season unbeaten. He will adapt, he will evolve, and he will learn. But for me, that Wolves game and the defeats we've had has been slowly on the players. They have to take responsibility. They have to stand up to be counted. It's our fault. And, you know, we need to give Ange a chance. It's his first season in the Premier League. Were people shouting at Arsene Wenger when he came from the Japanese league and Arsenal went through a dodgy patch? No, because they gave him time. Alex Ferguson, yeah, they all wanted him out, but Man United gave him time to interplay what his vision was. And that's what we've got to do at Tottenham. We can't keep blaming managers. It's the players. Stop blaming them. It really gets my goat up. We blame every manager when the players there are the ones that have let us down.
Do you know what? I'm with you on that, Dermo. Look, the way I see it, right, are the questions of Ange valid? I suppose they are. You know, you can ask the questions of Ange Postecoglou. I hear a lot of he's been found out. Okay, clubs do have a bigger bite-sized example of maybe how to set up against Ange Ball. But this is where I differ to most people. For me, Ange Ball worked pre-season. It worked the first 10 games of the season. Everyone was absolutely raving about it. But the same problems, as we've seen in years gone by, when he has to start using players that are nowhere near suited to his system, results and performances drop off. The press dropped off. The intensity dropped off. The tempo dropped off. And if they get away with it over a run of 15 games, when we start getting all of our first-team players back like we have done, they just come back and go, well, if they didn't have to do it, why do I have to do it? You know, it kills all momentum. It kills the message that my manager's trying to send. When these guys go out injured or suspended, they leave Tottenham in a position hunting for the trophies. When they come back, they're coming back to try and salvage top four. The momentum is killed. The message is killed. And for me, you look at that the last few games, the press is non-existent. That was huge in the first 10 games. I keep talking about it. It's why teams couldn't counter us to great effect, because we were turning the ball higher up the pitch. Earlier on in the season, Doji had the highest turnovers in the final third. I still think he does now to this day. However, most of them were earlier on in the season. Papa Matasar goes, Richarlison goes, but nobody else goes. And all it does is pop, 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 and they're in. It's too simple. Why aren't the players pressing? Because they feel like they don't have to, because the next guy coming in isn't going to do it anyway, right? The whole idea of having a squad is so that you don't allow complacency to seep in. But when your squad is not good enough and they drop off, it allows everyone else to do it as well, and it sets the standard and the tone all around. And Ange Postecoglou has a big job to try and claw this back. That's where other managers failed. That's where Conte failed. That's where Mourinho failed, because when things went wrong, they just dished out bollockings and no one responded to it. Postecoglou's going to have to do it a little bit differently. But for me, I'll put it all down to the attitude. When you've got players, Maddison, he has not come back anywhere near the standard that he's supposed to. His job is creativity. Someone tell me why he's passing the ball 5 yards sideways when that's not what his job is. That's not an instruction. Ange Postecoglou hasn't said to him before the game, by the way, man, just keep it safe today, yeah? It's not coming from Postecoglou. The winger's not crossing the ball or being able to take on their man. Postecoglou ain't standing there before the game and says, just cut inside and pass it on 5 yards, pass on the responsibility. But the problem is these guys know the guys behind them, they're never going to be dropped. so they can do exactly what they want to do. They don't have to carry out the manager's message if they don't want to, because it's okay, take me off. Who are you going to bring on? Johnson? He ain't going to do anything. That's where I'm at on it. Guys, anyone disagree, agree? I mean, feel free.
Look, I think this anti-Ange, or this blaming Ange for not getting it right, as I said, has to be the players. But these are a different type of players than we had under Conte. The majority of that team is, well, some of them are not, like Van de Ven, Romero, Porro, Destiny, Vicario. We've got a whole new back five. Dave is right with Maddison. He hasn't come back the same player, but is that down to injuries? Is that down to players losing a bit of confidence in themselves of, well, if I do this again, will I get injured again?
You don't have to be confident to run.
I know what you mean.
That's excuses.
No, I'm not making an excuse. What you said about Maddison not coming back, a lot of the Ange ball is different to what we had played under Conte. So players have to get up to a certain sort of fitness to play Ange ball. And you're right in what you're saying. You're absolutely spot on. But I just feel that Ange should not be taking the flak. The players should be coming out and saying, it's our fault. We hold the responsibility, not the manager. Where we have thrown managers under the bus so many times in previous years. Players now have to come up and players don't take responsibility, because the modern footballer, it's not our problem. It's the manager's problem. Where Philip will tell you, back in the 80s, wasn't it Philip or Graham Roberts? Players like that would take responsibility, wouldn't it? It wouldn't be left on Keith Birkinshaw, or even back in Bill's Nick's day, it wasn't left on Bill Nick. The players would be big enough to come out. It's our fault. We apologise. And these modern player doesn't take responsibility. And this is where it boils down to. It's all about responsibility.
I'll tell you, one of the reasons Maddison hasn't been as productive either is I think the front three have got lazy. They're not making the moves for him. He can, if you're static up front, he's not going to pass. He's not going to pass and hope you you'll get closed down. They need to be moving more, moving around, pulling the defenders all over the place. Then they hit the killer pass.
An attitude, no problem, Philip. Players not wanting to do that. That's not down to Ange, right?
I don't know what it is. Why they're not doing it? Because I mean, you think a forward's natural thing would be to move around and pull his defender all over the place. That doesn't seem to be happening.
Jack,
it's the modern day footballer, isn't it? That's what it is. Too much social media, too much of outside football activities. Where back in the day, it was football. That's what it was. It was all about football. There's too much other activities to take their minds off their main job, in my opinion, too.
I'd be curious to look at what our stats look like in the beginning of this season when it comes to certain players, and whether it's like you brought up with Udogie, like high tackles, very high up the pitch, maybe some of Maddison's through balls when it comes to, being able to complete those, even key passes, measures of creativity, a bunch of things. I'm curious
distance covered.
Distance covered. I'd, be very interested in some of that. And you just want to compare that from the first 10 games to maybe these last 10 games. Some of it, I think, is having to do with players are, I don't know what it is. Like maybe it's because, towards this tail end of the season, they aren't as willing to take some of the risks that are needed in this sort of system, because Postecoglou likes to play that way. He wants you to play fast. He wants you to play that pass in behind, whether you think it's there or whether you think you can play it or not. I think he wants you to play it. Like you said with Maddison, he doesn't want you to just, shift on the responsibility to someone else with a 5-yard pass. It's not your job. Your job is to play that pass. Your job is to find those runners. And it feels like of recent, kind of the midfield, as well as some of the other creative players and the team in general, are kind of going for more of the safer option, looking to kind of slowly break a team down, up the pitch, then try to hurt them quickly. And perhaps it's because they've been punished so many times, on the counter, that they're worried about having to track back and having to run all the way backwards, and they get tired from that. So they don't want to lose the ball straight away. But then that's, playing at sort of half capacity, or playing at sort of not full faith and full confidence in the system. And then if you're doing that,
what your manager wants, though, right? If you start doing that,
and if you're using half your manager's tactics, or not going into them full heart, in a full manner, I think you're setting yourself up for disaster in some sort of manner, right? Because you can't just do it half-hearted. I think the manager's tactics, you have to fully buy into it. And maybe of recent, some of the players have taken their foot off the pedal when it comes to some of the expectations and the tempo and the requirements that Ange has them do.
Look, I think you're absolutely spot on there. Like, I said it there a couple of weeks ago. The reason why they're doing this 5-yard passing and stuff like that is because they don't want to be caught on the counter. They don't want to make them runs backwards. But if you're going to be sloppy in possession, they're going to have to do it anyway. But the whole point of Ange ball is you go at the team. If you don't score, okay, grand, you press high up, you take it off them again, and you go again. But we're not doing that. And I'm sorry, but no one's telling me. Ange Postecoglou is telling these forward players to shirk the responsibility and take the easy option. No one's telling me that Ange Postecoglou and the guys working during the week is not instructing these players to go and challenge for a corner kick that comes into their box in the air. No, guys, just stay grounded, don't move. I'm sorry, that is not the instructions coming from Ange Postecoglou. Ange Postecoglou isn't telling Bissouma to make 90 yards backtrack run, but then not swing his head over his shoulder. And I'm absolutely fed up with it. They're not carrying out the instructions. And to me, it goes hand in hand with why Ange Postecoglou has been a bit more snappy in press conferences and stuff like that, a bit more pissed off. It's how it started under other managers where players didn't want to carry out the instructions. Everyone blames Conte and Jose for instructing the team to sit deep. How many times did they come out in press conferences and say, I'm not instructing the team to sit deep. I'm not instructing the team to fall backwards in these games, but they're doing it anyway. For me, I think we're reaching that sort of point in the season. And it'd be interesting to see how Ange Postecoglou, handles this and gets them to come out of it. Because right now, let's not hide. We're in the middle of a lull. We're in the middle of a bit of a dodgy period. But for me, it comes all down to players' attitude, their running stats, everything else. It's just winding me up. We could sit here and blame another manager all we want. Where's it going to get us? Sack another manager, bring another guy in. He's going to look at the squad. He's going to have the same excuses. They're not all my players. What do you want me to do? I'm not a magician. So I'd say to them players today, realise it's a London derby. Fans are sick of underachieving. Strap your boots up nice and tight and get ready to fucking run. You outrun Palace, you're going to win that game. It's that simple. It's that simple. But Faz Radfire, good to see you, my man. 3-1 Spurs. My favourite channel, 3-1 win. Birthday present. Well, first of all, happy birthday to you, my man.
Happy birthday, Faz.
Hopefully you've had a great day. Hopefully you've got spoiled, and hopefully the win will be the cherry on top. Faz, happy birthday, brother.
Birthday weekend, Faz. Enjoy yourself, my friend. 3-1 on the birthday. Your favorite score line. Let's deliver it to you today, son. But big up to you, Faz. Appreciate your support throughout these many years. I think you've been with us for even longer than I've been here. So big up to you, Faz. Really do appreciate you. Enjoy the birthday weekend, my man.
And everyone get in the comments, wish Faz a happy birthday. He's a top guy. Big up, Faz. By the way, I will be there for the North London Derby. Be nice to see you if you're over there. I will be sitting beside the Arsenal away fans, which I cannot wait for. It's going to be absolutely epic.
Is that where we're sitting, Dave?
I don't know where you're sitting, but that's where I'm sitting.
I have to check I hope I'm in the north. I prefer the north stand. Yeah, I prefer the north stand. I sat there for the Brighton game. There's more atmosphere in that stand than there is, a bit more than the south stand. I prefer it because the away fans, you can have great crack with them. It really is. You can have great crack with the away fans.
I just want to sing, North London is ours and all that to them. I just want to wind them up, I might even go as Lego head. Might, go and get a full fancy dress costume, a big Lego head, put it on me and stand there and wind them up. Or I could try and rival Ty and go with Spurs headphones, Spurs jacket, Spurs jumper, and be the Tottenham version, just wind them up a little. Definitely be a few fingers thrown their way for sure. Big up, Faz Radfire. Daniel Harris says, big up, chaps. Team Harris checking in. I'm not overly confident. We've not been good for a while. I think we'll struggle to win. Need a big game from Captain Sonny. That we do, my man. Take a few more comments, quick fire, and then we'll crack on. Hopefully everyone is enjoying that. I thought that was a cracking conversation there. Big Pants says, Philip is right. Most of the morning fragile meanies have gone. Thank God. KM says, we would have gotten a Rashford or a Matoma, of course. Like we showed no ambition that we were actually in a title race. Cara Simpson says, I think the problem is we have too many players coming back from long-term injuries who are still not fully fit. Look, I think to a degree that's part of the problem. Again, running stuff like that, simple mistakes, not jumping for corners. I mean, You don't have to be super fit to do them sort of stuff. But I do take your point on board, Carl. Jack Bloom says we are due a win. Come on, you Spurs. I really do hope so. Joris Wooters, big up the panel. It's a must-win game. That is, sir. Good to see you in the building. We also have Mark in the chat. Big up, guys. I think I'm just peeved a few of the players is not showing they are fully committed. They won't be around next season. Simple, really. Do you know what? I completely agree with that, Mark. But I don't know about you, but is anyone else not sick of hearing this? Sick of this under every single manager. And it's how the downfall starts when stuff like that starts coming out and stuff. It's just really, I'm sick of it, Mark. I'm absolutely sick of it. By the way, big up, Cobbler. Good to see you, Davy Shire. Hopefully you're keeping well, sir. We have Phil Coy's member for 16 months. 16 months as a member of this channel. It's been an absolute pleasure. Trophies for Spurs next year, I'm sure of it. It all hangs on the summer window. Come on, you Spurs. Well, first of all, really appreciate the support for the 16 months, Phil. It's probably longer than that, to be brutally honest. So you've been around for quite some time. Really do. Hopefully you're keeping well, settling into married life very, very well. We haven't seen you on the channel in a long time. Make sure you come and see us sometime soon, and let's have a conversation about all things Spurs. Look, Ange will deliver. But, this is what I try to warn everybody in the summer. He can't do it all on his own. He does need continuous help, continuous backing. And I'm not sitting here complaining about what we done in the summer because I think we had a good window. Am I going to sit here and complain about the January? I complained about Werner, but at the end of the day, I understand you're never going to sign a Vlahovic or a Ferguson in that window. But this summer transfer window is absolutely huge. You got to get rid of some of the squad players that just cannot play this system. They've got to go. You've got to be ruthless in that department. You've got to fill out the squad. Big summer ahead, Phil. Big yourself up, my man, and really appreciate the support. Top man. Top man. But guys, if you are enjoying this conversation today, please smash that like button. Please smash the subscribe button if you are new, and feel free to get in support for your boys. We also have I thought that was Brennan Johnson in there for a minute. I was like, go away, you're pissing me off. But he says, good luck, guys. Need to set up the fence. Hope he puts Dragusin at right back or centre with Romero or right back. Emerson had his shot. Don't set Jack off. He's just back from making a coffee. He's going to go straight for it. Don't worry, we'll get into that. We've got a lot of talking points around that, my man. And then Neil Hughes, big up, boys. Good to see you, Neil. There's someone else I see sneaking. Allison. Great to see you, Alison. Hopefully you're keeping well. Welsh Gal, and also El Tal Cockerel. Jose, good to see you, sir. Make sure I'm not missing anyone. I don't think I am. So big yourselves up, guys. But look, we'll keep moving on. We'll start with you on this one, Philip. Tottenham have had 2 weeks to prepare for the game today to reflect upon the disappointing 2-1 defeat at home to Wolves. What are you expecting to see from Spurs today going into this game with 2 weeks to prepare?
Well, as I said earlier, it's an important break for Ange. I know he doesn't like, he commented he doesn't like these long breaks between matches, but I think it's given him the opportunity to work with the squad. I mean, there's nobody, okay, we're probably at the low point injury-wise, only a couple of players missing. He needs to reinvent the way we were playing the first 10 matches of the season, get the players back up, get them in the same mindset to say, right, lads, we are going to replicate the likes of the Newcastle match, Liverpool, Man United. I think games like that where we've beaten teams that in the past we probably wouldn't have. Like how long is it since we beat Liverpool at home? How long since we beat United? We've done that this season, right? Now Palace. I look at Palace as a lucky omen. We scored our first goal at the new stadium against Palace. Sonny likes a goal against Palace. So I want him to concentrate on the positives. Now, one thing I'm a bit concerned about today, since Dragusin came in, we haven't even seen him, maybe 5 minutes here and there. Is he going to, would you agree with risking him to play him at left back today? Or right back, sorry. Instead of Porro? Or would you leave Royale in this position? You know, I'm just thinking, could he bring a little bit more energy to the team that's missing under Royale? But there's always going to be a mistake. Anyway, that's a decision I'm sure that's been made during the week. What I want to see is the clock put back to last September, October, and the performances from Tottenham today that we got then, and not the likes of the performance against Wolves, where we were good enough in spasms, small bits, but we got caught at that first goal was a disgrace. I mean, three centre backs standing around scratching their ass. Well, the Wolves player had a free run at us. The second goal, too many players up the pitch, not enough cover. Got caught badly on that one as well. So let's get back to basics, basics. Let's get back to scoring goals, get an early goal, get the crowd on our side, and don't let the game drag on 50, 60 minutes with no goals in it, or they go one ahead, as we've been behind in the last 3 matches. 3 or 4 matches we've lost the first goal. An early goal settles the crowd. The longer it goes, the more vociferous the crowd is, or the less vociferous the crowd is going to get. The crowd's going to get nervous. That'll translate onto the pitch. Palace will take heart from it, and God knows. So there's a lot of psychological work as well as physical work to be done these last 2 weeks, and I hope he's done it.
I couldn't agree more with that. I mean, Dermot, Philip hasn't left you much room to answer that question at all. But what do you want to see from us today, or what are you expecting to see from us today with the 2 weeks off?
I'm expecting to see a team that's fired up. I'm expecting to see a team that is ready to put the rights of the last defeat, put that to bed. I'm looking for a team that is more organised, more prepared to put the work in. For me, I agree with Philip and Radu. He should be in place of Emerson. Though Emerson, is a squad player, but I think Radu, we need to see him. But look, I want to see a team that cares. I want Ange to put it across to them. You let us down. You let the fans down. You owe them fans a win. You owe them fans a response to show that you do care about the badge. You care about the shirt. That's what I want to see today. I want to see Tottenham playing Tottenham. And look, I don't mind. Philip's right about the second goal. We did lack cover. But I'd rather us attack and concede the goal like that than sit back and concede the goal like that, if you know what I mean. But I want the players to come out today to say, we're sorry, this is our apology, by putting in a 90 minutes performance and say to Ange, there you go, we can do it. And I think today's win, if we win today, that will set the foundations for the rest of the season.
And look, we're going to get into it in a minute, but it's a must win. We have to take all 3 points. Just quickly, I'll tell Cockerell, New Addington. Now, if my memory serves me correct, as a kid, there was an absolute unbelievable bakery on the high street of Addington, or something somewhere called like that. And they used to do this cake, and all I can remember is the taste of it, but I cannot remember the name of it or find it anywhere. But let me know if there's still a bakery in and around there. Next time I'm over, I might have to pop in. Typical me, always thinking of food. But Jack, Matthew wants to know, are you excited? You look a bit worried. And also, I want to know, what areas do you want to see improvement on heading into this game with 2 weeks to work on them?
Sorry, I got distracted by something on Google Maps. I saw someone mention the Great Barrier Reef, and I was, looking up where the Great Barrier Reef actually is. I felt a little bit stupid there, not actually knowing where it was. Kind of like with this break, Dave, that you guys are talking about, I don't think it benefits anyone for the most part.
Okay.
Because like I brought up earlier, I think Spurs have sadly not had that rhythm of games that a lot of teams do benefit from. I feel like part of the reason when you see teams go on these run of winning game after game after game, usually you don't see that when they have like 7 or 8 days in between each one. It feels like that more often happens when they have a couple of games like in a week sort of type of thing. They can not have to wait too long, but they're not playing too often. Spurs just haven't had that really this year. And even when we have had maybe a bit more frequency with the games, that was during a period when we probably had the majority of our injuries. So it's never really been that easy on us. And I think Ange probably is benefiting to a degree from like taking a bit of pressure off of himself, or, not having to play on the weekend. So Spurs aren't in the limelight or anything like that. But I'll be honest, I actually think he probably wished that he could just sort of keep playing and keep getting these games, coming thick and fast, so that he can work on things sort of in the real time. I think he's had so much time on the training ground with some of these players that I'm not really sure, like he can tweak things and he can tell them, this is what we need to be doing better. But the more times you get to practice it actually in a real game scenario, the more likely, the team actually starts to buy into it. The more likely the team is actually going to really start to replicate it on a regular basis. But the fact that we only play every 8 or 9 days, you kind of would expect that certain players might not be on it and actually will be sort of off of the boil a little bit because they just aren't in that rhythm. So for me, Dave, I actually think this long break, for the most part, doesn't really actually benefit Spurs. I think we've had too many breaks.
Well, the last one was supposed to benefit us, didn't we? And I'd argue we came back worse from that one. So, look, I'm with you. I think it's a bit of an awkward one. Me personally, if I was the manager, I'd say, okay, you don't want to run during the game. You're going to run over the next week anyway, and we'll see who's committed or not. Look, for me, I just want to see, the Spurs players come out like Duracell bunnies. I don't want to hear any excuses about tiredness. There shouldn't be any tiredness whatsoever. They've had 2 weeks off. So I want to see them at least work hard. I want to see them close down the ball with great intensity. I want to see that press with super intensity and on the ball. I just want to see them with a bit of swagger. In first 10 games, every single one of them players believed they were better than anyone that they were coming up against. Lately, it doesn't seem like that. When you see them shirking responsibility, passing it 5 yards sideways, that's cowardice. That's someone that's hiding who doesn't believe in himself. Madison, you look at Harry Kane. Jack, me and you brought this up to me yesterday when we were having sort of chats like we always do about Tottenham. Kane used to get on the ball, spray 30 yards out to the left, 30 yards out to the right. Great range of passing. Madison picks up the ball. You do not see that. Where is that from Madison? That's what he's in the team to do. And he has the capability of doing it. Sonny, didn't do anything last game out. Where's that confidence gone? Where's that, guys? You usually were used to seeing Sonny pick up the ball, drive at people, make a nuisance of himself. Kulu scored okay, but the rest of the game he spent passing the ball back inside. The defenders, everyone's looking for help, whereas earlier on in the season, straight across, bam, take the man and ball. It's all gone. I want to see us back at it 100% today, 100% commitment to absolutely everything we're doing. I don't care whether you're going down the tunnel for halftime. I want to see you sprinting down the tunnel for halftime. I don't care whether it's defending a set piece or going to attack or defend. Do it with 100% purpose and bloody believe in yourselves. As Postecoglou, play that in the dressing room before the game because I'm sick of losing games of football to shit teams that we shouldn't be. So there's 2 weeks to work on it. Get out there and go and get the job done. Now, moving on, guys, after that great rant. Philip, we'll head down to you again, my man. We can't afford to drop any more points ahead of a brutal April fixture schedule. You've got Man City, Newcastle, West Ham, Arsenal, Liverpool, probably the Chelsea game thrown in there as well. How do you think Tottenham will handle the pressure with the closing the gap on top four?
Right. Well, I think leaving April aside for a moment, March is more important at the moment because look at the games we've got in March. We've got Villa next week. We've got Fulham. We've got West Ham. We've got Luton. I think I worked it out. If we could get, say, 4 or 5 wins out of those, Villa's the only game that really, really worries me. We get 5 wins out of that. It gives us a cushion against the team. Like look at the league at the minute. The top 7 are pulling away from the rest. That more or less guarantees some form of European football. But we win the games in March. We really are in a great shout to get top 4. Now, I'm discounting 5th at the minute because we don't know whether that's going to work or not for the Champions League at the moment. So we have to aim at 4th to go for Champions League. But I think if we even come up short, we've got that bit of a buffer zone between us and not qualifying. And let's face it, we should have qualified for Europe last season. Bad known as we were at the end of it. We threw it away. I don't think that's going to happen again. We will qualify for Europe. It just depends what tournament we get in. Now that's a bitch of a sequence in April. We play Newcastle, City, Arsenal, and Liverpool. I don't know if that's the order they're in, but so that's why I'm saying March is so important to get the points in the bag, so we get a bit of a safety net should we not come good in those particular matches in April. But on the other hand, we're going to have a hell of a say in wherever the title goes to because we're playing all the contenders.
Well, it was supposed to be my title running, Philip, where we go on and win the league. But yeah, you're right. Now we can stop other teams from winning the title. That'd be brilliant. All them Liverpool fans that want, it so badly for Klopp. I mean, literally, we could cause the flooding of Merseyside if we beat them up there with the amount of crying they're going to do. Arsenal fans as well might have to put sandbags down to stop our stadium from flooding if we beat Arsenal, the amount of crying that they're going to do. And then, look, when it comes to Man City, I'd actually just roll out, the likes of myself, Jack, Philip and Dermot and let City go and win it. I don't want Liverpool winning it because all my friends are Liverpool fans, and I definitely don't want Arsenal winning it just because I hate them. So, hopefully we can play our part in how it all unfolds.
Dave, you're forgetting the tiers. You need to put the sandbags outside Sky Sports if Liverpool don't win it either.
So, so true. They're desperate. They're absolutely desperate. Moondog says, "Hi lads, 2-1 to us today. No problem. Come on, you Spurs." First of all, Moondog, have you been keeping, my man? Long time no see. Good to see you in here. How's Charlie as well? How's the dog as well, my man? Good to see you in the building. Jack, he says 2-1, no problem. Oh, you're on mute, Jack, or fiddle the wire.
Sorry. 2-1. I mean, if that's going to be an easy one, Moondog, I'm happy for it. But usually the 2-1s of late have not been as easy on us, especially on sort of the blood flow and the heart rate, all that sort of thing. It's not been easy on us. So I'd love for a casual, comfortable 2-1. But when has there ever been a comfortable 2-1? I'd be curious about that, Moondog. How many comfortable 2-1s can you really get? So, yeah, no problem. 2-1, I'll take it. Listen, I mean, Moondog, we have to win today, no matter what. I want a big scoreline personally. I'd like to have a convincing win so that I could really get behind sort of this run that I hope that we can go on towards the end of the season. But let's be honest, like, this is a must-win game for Spurs. 2-1, you take it. You have to take it.
Have to win today, Moondog. No excuses. I don't want to hear any excuse about injuries and this and that and referees. And although I will hate on the referees today, just no excuses today. Get the 3 points, done and dusted. It's got to be that simple. But big up, Moondog. Good to see you in the building and good to see you back, sir. Hopefully you're keeping well. Mr. Cohen as well. Great to see you. How are you and the family? Are you and the son at the game today? Let us know, my man. And then Paddy Harnett's popping in morning, folks. Today's game will not be an easy one. We should be beating them easy, but I am saying a very tight 2-1 or 1-1. Paddy getting out of the bed with his arse cheeks clenched together, I would say. It's going to, tight game here for him. But big up, Paddy. Hopefully we can loosen them cheeks, my man. And hopefully we go and get that win. That would be absolutely awesome. Dermo, lad. Dermo. So Spurs find themselves 5 points behind fourth place. Aston Villa have been haven't played a game. Spurs find ourselves 5 points behind fourth place Aston Villa. We also have a game in hand on Villa, but we have a crunch clash at their place next weekend to follow this. How important is it we win today, build some momentum heading into that next sort of week? And also, is today a must win in that regard then?
It is crucial. It is absolutely crucial. If we have any hopes or any ambition for top four, these are the games we've got to win. The games against like Liverpool and City and Arsenal, we're going to win. That's because you and me are going to that, and that's a given. We're going to win that. But the teams, like, if you can't win, I've always used the analogy, if you can't win your home games and pick up a point at least away from home. But today is vital. Today is vital because that confidence we can bring into Villa. Villa haven't been that great at home recently. And if we can bring that momentum and that sort of belief, we can go there and win. It's vital today. I still think we're going to get top four. I don't know why. I think Champions League, we're still going to get Champions League football. But today's vital. And Villa, I agree with Philip. Villa's going to be a 6-pointer. But I think Villa are beatable. And I think we've got the experience of going for Champions League places where Villa don't. And I know some people think that's silly, but it's really important. We have the experience. We have the mentality of going into these games and getting Champions League football. We did it under Conte. We've done it before. We can do it again. But today's the first day of the new season, if you know what I mean. This is game one. No.
Start over, new season.
No, what I mean by that is if you look at how many games are left of this season, the running of the season starts today.
Right.
So today is like, if you put it into a mini league, we have to start today as we mean to go on between now and the rest and the end of the season away at Sheffield United. But a win today is vital. We've got to do it in style as well.
No, look, I completely agree with you. Like, for me, there's no point of drawing today and then going and beating Villa next weekend.
No.
It does absolutely nothing, and it's typical Spursy that. For me, go and win today, give yourself the best chance, go and win next week, put yourself in pole position. Like Philip said, we need the points over this month, to really sort of give ourselves a real good opportunity. Personally, I would like a points buffer before we go into them big games. You look at them big games, we've done well against all them teams so far this season. But the difference is we haven't played them one after another like we're going to in April. And that becomes grueling. That becomes taxing on, the concentration, the mental side of things, but also the physical side of things as well. You spend a lot more larger periods without the ball than what you would against other teams. Mentally, you've got mentally you've got to stay switched on, continue to do the right things out of possession, which is a hard thing to do, when you're constantly just chasing shadows. So for me, it's about getting the 3 points today. No excuses. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear any excuses after the game. In fact, if we don't win, I'm just turning off the watch along and I'm going to cry for the evening. But I also think it's important in the context of the season, Jack, right? I just feel like Philip alluded to, there's a good buffer. It looks like we're going to get some sort of European football. But if you drop out of the top 4 race, it probably kills a lot of the momentum from fans around the season.
I mean, what's really scary, Dave, is I'll take it a bit further. I feel like that loss that we had against Wolves killed a lot of sort of vibe and just sort of good feeling around the fan base. We're reaching that stage of the season where these games matter. Like you even brought up the definition of a must win is Dave is gonna turn off the watch along and cry if we end up losing this one. So that's the definition of a must win game. And that means then, right, at this stage of the season, these games mean a lot to Spurs fans. And whether we're in the beginning of a project or not, we are going to feel it. If we win it, we're going to be over the moon, delusional as always. But if we lose it, we're going to be really down in the dumps. And it's expected with fans. It's part of the fan culture. But yeah, David, it is funny, right, that I take it a step further. I think the fan base has already kind of swayed a lot in terms of its emotions and its sort of confidence in the players, confidence in Ange by kind of each passing result. We're at that stage of the season where we're going to kind of be, back and forth, really, right? We're going to be flip-flopping, I think, a lot towards the end of the season here with how we feel about the manager, how we feel about the players, and even the rest of this season. And I agree with you. We should kind of be pretty happy with what we have to play for. This is well above what most people were expecting and most people had set out for us. But we've almost gotten so used to it now, and we kind of expect to finish in Europe at this stage. So I think people are just reaching that nervous moment where they're actually worried that we won't get it. And then, each passing result means that the fan base is either going to blow up in a positive way or a negative way.
No, absolutely. Hopefully it's a positive way. If we lose, I can't deal with anyone coming to me crying in the negativity. I just want to cry myself, to be brutally honest. So hopefully we are celebrating a win today. Of course, everyone around the Spurs community or the online community loves nothing better than seeing Dave and Jack with a smile on their face. So hopefully they can deliver that today. But in order to win games of football, guys, we do have to learn to keep clean sheets. We've kept 1 clean sheet in our last 16 league games, and I've conceded at least 2 goals in 5 of our last 7. What do we put down there? You're conceding so many goals to. And then I want to caveat that by asking people, do you think our defense is better this year than it is last year? On paper with players, I'd say yes. But when you look at the goals conceded, we're not too far away from where we were last season. And you know what, Jack? I don't think you've kicked one off today. We'll let you kick this one off and work our way back around.
On an individual basis, individual players, far, far, far better than what we had last season. I don't think anybody could make a case that the defense last season was in any way better on a personnel basis. From the goalkeeper to the majority of the center backs to the fullbacks, we are a much, much better team. I'd say the reason why we're conceding more, kind of not nearly as tight sometimes at the back, has a little bit to do with the tactics, right? We're leaving much more space in behind. We're leaving also fewer defenders back there than we used to, right? We used to actually have at least 3 or 4 defenders back there so that if we did get countered, it was a lot harder to kind of counter Spurs than it is right now. And also I'd say individual mistakes, in this sort of system, in this style, if you end up having a loose touch or a bad touch on the ball, maybe you don't know that there's a man on and you end up turning into him. you can get picked off in bad areas in this sort of system where there aren't many players next to you to help you out. Like, you have to be smart. You have to be savvy on the ball. You have to have your wits about you, you know, what's around you, what sort of pass to play next. Again, also keeping that high tempo of things. And with that, if you make a mistake, it can be very, very costly. And some of the mistakes that we have made have been in probably the most costly parts of the pitch, right? Think of the times when a Destiny Udogie has been caught on the ball, like caught on the ball when everybody is forward, and he shouldn't be caught on the ball there. Same thing with Bentancur, same thing with Bissouma, Højbjerg, Emerson. Plenty of players in this team have been caught in possession or playing bad passes out from the back in areas where Spurs really shouldn't be losing it because we're trying to get everybody forward. So it's a combination of things. I think a lot of it has to do, of course, with the style of play. Like, we are just going to end up probably conceding more than we did last season because of simply the style of play. But also, I think a lot of it has to do with just individual errors in really bad areas of the pitch that then lead to pretty easy counterattacking chances for Premier League sides who, for the most part, work on their counterattacks every single day, every week, and are probably the most devastating teams in Europe when it comes to these sort of counterattacking scenarios. So a bit of both for me, but let's be honest, like, the defense on a personnel basis, on an individual basis, night and day, so much better.
Sorry about that. I nearly died. My orange juice went down the wrong pipe.
No.
But no, look, Jackie, you know, I agree with you on that as well. I do think we could be helped out by the press as well. You know, that's also, you know, defending from the front.
Pressing from the front.
You know, if everyone went, that would eliminate some of the counterattacks as well and stuff like that. But, you know, you have made a great point. You know, teams are a lot more efficient on the counter than what they would be in other leagues that Andrew's come up against. So maybe there's some tweak that maybe needs to be made there. Not send everyone as forward as we are, maybe. Philip, where are you on it? I mean, why are we conceding so many goals? Like Jack says, we've got better personnel right across the back four than what we did last year or what we have over the last number of years, but it's still not tightening up.
I think it's the fact we played with a makeshift defense on I don't know how many matches, maybe 8-9 matches.
That's true.
Like,
That's
you know,
true.
we had maybe Emerson Royale and Ben Davis as your centre backs, and that doesn't exactly inspire confidence in anybody, you know.
Right.
But if you look at last season, we were playing David Davison Sanchez and Eric Dyer at centre back. Now we've got Christian Romero and Mickey van der Ven, chalk and cheese again, you know. So I think it's just a team that attacks the way Spurs do is always going to be prone to letting in goals, you know. Last season was very, very defensively, 63 goals, probably the worst we've had in a long, long time.
It's the worst record in the Premier League.
Yeah, that's the worst we've ever had. So, okay, it's not great this season, but I mean, we've 13 matches left, right? To get a clean sheet now would be nearly an achievement for Tottenham. But I think, you know, it's going to come. We've got the personnel there now. We get get the band back together again. We get Porro back in there. And at the settled back four, I think the clean sheets will come. But we are man for man, streets ahead of what we were last season. So it's just a matter of, you know, like I said, this is a bedding in season, defensively and attack wise. And I'm hoping that the things will improve on the defensive front for the next, like, what have we got? I don't know how many away and home games we've got out of that 13, but, you know, I can see us maybe, if we can, let's say, concede maybe 15 more goals all season, that would be really, really good in 13 matches. I think we'd take that. As long as we score 16 at the other end, you know.
That would be nice. That'd be nice. But Philip, I want to push back slightly. I agree with you too, you know, when Emerson and mainly Davies came in at centre back, you know, he dropped off, and that does have a part to do with the stat. But we've had Romero and Van der Ven back for United, City, Brentford, Everton, Brighton, and Wolves, and we're still conceding goals.
Yeah, well, maybe a little bit, maybe push the blame a little bit further forward. I don't think either of us could say that Bissouma or Bentancur have been doing their job properly over the last few weeks either, giving them a bit of cover. If you've got a good covering midfielder, that helps the two centre backs, and that hasn't really happened. I mean, I think I'd be maybe Bentancur came back too quickly. Bissouma doesn't seem to be himself since the African nations. So, you know, if you get your defending midfielders doing the job, then the defensive area becomes a little easier for the centre backs. So hopefully that will improve over the next number of games.
I really do hope so. Everyone knows how much I love a clean sheet. I'm sick of watching teams score easy goals against us. I'm absolutely fed up of it. Dermo, anything you want to add to, your reasons why you think maybe we're conceding so many goals? Set pieces, probably another part of the reason as well, right?
I think everyone's just said what I was going to say, basically.
What about set pieces, Dermo? There's a lot are being made around, the zonal marking of the set piece. The zonal marking wasn't the problem for the Wolves game. Let's be brutally honest. The problem was everyone had concrete in their boots. No one got off the ground to go and challenge for it. I mean, set piece has been a huge problem at this club for years.
It has. It's all about taking responsibility for your job, and defensively we are better. I agree with Jack. We're better than we were last season. But when we don't play with our back five, Porro, Destiny, Romero, Van de Ven, and Vicario, we seem to go to pieces. Wolves, I said it from day one. Wolves, the win backs, that's our weak points. Today, Royale's going to be a weak point. Players don't take responsibility. When you do a job, you're doing the corner, right? You mark him. There should be 3 or 4 players, demanding players. Mark him, mark him, mark him. Where's your man? Are you marking your man? If somebody's free, make sure you cover him. There's no organization. This zone of marking for me I don't like it. Man for man. That's my thing. If a corner, you go man for man to man. But I think next season we're going to be better defensively. I think we need a number 6 in there that will sit in front of the back 4 and just cover. That's what we need. We need Brady to become a back 5, if you know what I mean, guys. And I don't think Bentancur's doing that. I don't think Bissouma's doing that. I do think we need a number 6 in there. And I think the front 3 as well have been letting us down. Because if the back 4 are not playing to their best of their ability, our front 3 should be up there scoring the goals for us and keeping us going. And they've let us down. So, look, it's tough. It's not as bad as it was last season, but it could be better. And I'm hoping it will be better. But this zone of marking, Dave, they need to throw that away and just go man for man. Because that's the only way you're going to defend. And that Wolves goal, nobody took responsibility for marking. They just stood there like, okay, I'm leaving for him. I'm going to leave it for him. Don't take responsibility. You're a footballer. Your job is to defend. Do your job to the best of your ability. Then nobody can complain at you.
Spot on. Absolutely spot on. And that's what another thing I want to see today is commitment from the set pieces. I grew up in an era where you had players pulling each other out the way to go and be the one to clear that ball and earn the praise off the fans and the management. Now I'm standing there watching players just looking at it floating over. I'm not being funny, but you can hire me, 5 stone overweight little fat Irish midget. Put me in there, you get the same bloody result. What's the difference? I mean, Jesus Christ, some of these guys are playing $100,000 a week. Go and put your body on the line. It's just simple defending. It just winds me up. But hopefully that doesn't happen today. Dark Sun G says, let's win 3-0 today. Also, Dyer extended for Bayern's day, laughing my ass off. So they've extended his stay, have they, Dark Sun G? I mean, I don't know why that happened. The fans are going absolutely ballistic about the guy. They hate him.
I didn't hear about an extension, Dark Sun G. What I did hear, though, is that Spurs, right? He's played enough games already that his move has now been made permanent to Bayern. I'm not sure, though, if there's like another contract or something that's like triggered for him, because I was under the impression he was on like some sort of like 6-month kind of contract or something like that with Bayern. But if he's actually found a way to trigger a bit of extra time over in Munich, good for him. But also very good for us, Dark Sunji, very good for us. And I've actually gone for a 3-0 as well myself. I told Dave in our pre-match thoughts for the members that we sort of trade back and forth between who's going to go for the 3-0 and who isn't. And this week, I really am hoping and praying that Spurs give us a convincing result. We really need a convincing one, Dark Sunji. So 3-0, would love it.
Big up, Dark Sunji. Good to see you, my man. How are you keeping? Let me know. How was your 2 weeks off? Sorry, Dermot. You wanted to say something there, lad?
Yeah, it's activated a clause in the loan agreement, as Jack said, that he's played so many games. It's not a permanent move yet either. So Bayern Munich have to, because he's out of contract at the end of the season, I think they have to come up with some agreement. But Sky Deutschland have been singing his praises where other media outlets have not been singing his praises. So it's a very mixed bag out in Germany, but who cares? He's out there. He's not.
They dropped more points last night as well, Bayern Munich. They're 7 behind now. Yeah.
I don't know what Sky Deutschland are praising Dyer for. I mean, I watched the game there against Leverkusen. They're chasing the game, and Dyer's trying to spray 50-yard balls, and they're going straight into the Bayern Munich fans. I mean, I don't miss them days whatsoever. But look, Dark Sun G, it's no longer my problem anymore. My campaign is done with him. I got what I wanted, and he's gone from my football club, and he's useless. He also says, I want to see a Son Madison Sarr goal today. Come on, you Spurs. Do you know, I'd love a Papa Mata Sarr goal. I'd absolutely love it. The kid is absolutely sensational. In terms of Madison, I just want to see him be Madison. You know, he's nowhere near the levels since he's come back from injury. I just want to see him start taking risks. That's what I loved about Madison. He didn't conform to the normality of just passing it. You know, he got on the ball. He wanted to slide people in, make things happen. He hasn't been doing that the last while, so hopefully we can see that. And look, Sonny, you come in just in time because we're going to get onto that very, very shortly on who we want to see up front. But Dark Sun G, I want to know off you, my man. You've obviously followed Sonny's whole career. Is Son better off the left, in your opinion, or better off as a striker? Please let me know on that, Dark Sun G. That'd be awesome. And then also, my guy DJ from North London, member for 18 months, 16 months, sorry. Big yourself up, 16, 18, potatoes. And that what they say, DJ Samuel. Really appreciate the support, though, my man. With a big come on, you Spurs. Jackie's got the beer out. You know, he's probably teasing you ahead of kickoff. So big up, DJ Samuel. I think that's a cigarette. I will say it's a cigarette, DJ Samuel.
Yeah,
big yourself up, my man.
No, I mean, back in the day, you know, out in Berlin, you know, that would be me as well, DJ. I'd probably have the combination of those two. Nowadays, I'm a bit healthier. It's just the IPAs, no longer as much of the smoking, but big up to you, DJ. I would say, though, I'm a little bit jealous because even in sort of an emoticon sort of kind of look, those two together, they go very well together, don't they, DJ? Big up to you, sir. 16 months of support. Appreciate you, my man. Our loyal listener out in North London as well, representing the Harris Army, representing the IrishHotspur. Big up to you, DJ. Appreciate you, my man.
Any little sneaky bets on as well? Do let me know, DJ. Cigarette 420. Please let me know as well. That'd be brilliant. We also have the cobbler in here, Davy Shire. 3-1 Spurs will get there. Keep the faith. Doubters. Ange hasn't murdered anyone. Players extract the digit and just play how you're told to. Come on, you Spurs. Do you know what? Look, I'm fully behind Ange Postecoglou. My concern more is the squad. You know, every season we get off to a great start, and it doesn't matter who's in charge, it falls off, and we can never sort of reclaim it back. And I don't want that to happen this season because I'm delighted with the style of football. I'm delighted that we want to go out there and we want to try and break teams down and beat them well. Delighted with that. You know, delighted, you know, with the squad. I remember saying to Jack a few years ago, I hated the squad we had. Genuinely hated it. Hated more the squad than what I loved. Now I absolutely love this squad. Well, the majority of it. Some of them still need to go. But for me, I'm fully behind the project. I just don't want it to fall off like it did under other managers. And that's my biggest problem. And I'm just saying to people, stop going for Ange Postecoglou. Maybe question other little things like the attitude of the players. Like Postecoglou, after the Wolves game, everyone goes, does Postecoglou need to change? Change what? The set piece. One of the goals is a set piece. You know, it doesn't need to change for that. That's just players that need to go and head the ball. And the other goal is avoidable if Bissouma just throws his head over his shoulder. So for me, I think it's too easy just go for the managers all the time. Sometimes you've got to look at other teams and say, look, are the players anywhere near at the levels they were? No. Have we seen this before? Yes. Is this a continuous pattern at these times of the season? Yes. So people get off Ange Postecoglou's back and start demanding a lot more of your players of what I would say there. Davy Shire, Jack, anything you want to say to Cobbler?
Yeah, I think Ange hasn't, you know, blown up the entire project or anything yet. It does feel like as per usual, Davy Shire, right? In the beginning of the season, I think everybody's more or less on the same page about most things sort of going into it. But then you reach this sort of stage of the season, you start to have people kind of jump off the Ange train, jump off other sort of trains. And people are all over the place really with their faith or their confidence or their trust really in what Spurs are doing. And I think a lot of us are still well and, strapped into this Ange Postecoglou project. Whereas others, I think, have already jumped off and are already kind of looking to maybe derail that train or looking to maybe get on a different one, which is kind of crazy to me. But yeah, I don't think Ange has actually done anything that's been that terrible yet to warrant any, ridiculous sort of questions over his future or anything like that. And to be honest, these players need to also show up for him, because I think in recent games, for me, Davy Shire, Ange has taken probably the blame more often than he even really needed to. We know Antonio Conte was a bit more harsh on some of these players. I think Ange Postecoglou actually hasn't been. He's plenty of times taken the blame when he probably didn't even need to. He could have just, kind of deflected it or whatever, but he's very good at taking sort of the pressure on himself. I'd like the players to take that pressure off of him with this upcoming game. Big up, Davey.
Big up, Davey. Really appreciate the support, my man. And then we've got Phil Coyes as well. Question: I'd like to see Romero in the 6 with Dragusin in the back with Van de Ven. What do you guys think? Look, I'm okay for experiments, over pre-season heading into next season. With us being, 5 points adrift of Aston Villa trying to chase the top 4, I don't think right now is the right time to experiment. Jack, you sort of, made this point yesterday for the members, that just with a lot on the line, it's not the right time to experiment. If the season dies out and it's going to be Europa League football, fair enough. Start experimenting, looking for things into next season. Will that be correct, Jack?
Yeah, exactly that. I'm sorry, Phil. I think we're past the stage of experimentation. Like every game matters. Every point matters at this stage. We cannot afford to end up losing a game because we went for some sort of random experiment or some sort of tweak that we've never even practiced or worked on before. I think we'd probably just for the rest of this season hope for either Bissouma or Bentancur to get back to their original levels, to get back to their best levels. I hope for and pray for that sooner happening than like a Romero renaissance, as a number 6 or anything like that. Don't get me wrong. I actually see the logic in that. But yeah, for the remainder of the season, Spurs haven't been working on that. Seems too big of a risk when every game matters. We're not playing on a regular basis either. It just seems like just hope for Bissouma or Bentancur to get back to their best selves sooner rather than later so that we can ride out the rest of the season for me.
And look, I think you're spot on, Jack. And heading into next season, Phil, I just think you might see a bit more experimentation. For instance, you might see Porro converted to a right winger. You might actually see Romero being moved out to right back, playing that inverted into the midfield role. He's got the ability to do it. He's got the aggression and the tenacity to do it, and he's got the on the ball to be able to do it. You might see some of the adaptations next season, but I do agree with Jack. I don't think right now is the right time to do that. And then we'll take this from K32. And then I'm going to save this. Dark Sun G, I'm just going to save this one for 2 moments and I'll get straight back to it because it ties in with a question that I want to bring up and ask all the boys. So big yourself up and thanks for getting back to me, man. But K32 says, hello, guys from Ireland. I missed the match today because I'm off on a blind date. Wish me well. If I see you before the match ends, it's gone bad. Well, first of all, K32, I was going to say, I don't want to see you before the game ends. I hope it goes well. In fact, I don't want to see you till Monday. So hopefully it goes absolutely great for you. What I would say is when you go on a date, confidence is absolutely key, my man. You go in there with any nerves, trepidations, that'll be smelt straight away, my man. You got to go in there full confidence, nice manners, big gleaming smile on your face. Of course, always buy the first drink, stuff like that. Just be a bit of a gentleman, pull the chair out as she goes to sit down, all that stuff. But anyway, I'm going to stop now because then my girlfriend will start saying, hang on, Dave, you don't do any of that for me. So I'm going to stop getting myself in a deeper hole there, K32. But confidence is key, lad. That's
I hope she's not a Crystal Palace fan.
I think there's a move called the Eagle he could execute if she is. So, K32.
He's taking her to an Eagle restaurant. They're going to have Eagle.
Big yourselves up. Absolute legend. Come on, K32. Best of luck, everybody. Wish him the best of luck. But, guys, right back. There was issues with it last week. Porro is, of course, absent now for this game. He's not due back to next week. But Emerson came in for a lot of criticism for his performance against Wolves. And I want to know, what does he need to do to elevate his game to a level Spurs fans would be happy with? Philip?
Stop making silly little errors. Stop making mistakes. I personally don't think he was the worst player on the pitch last week.
Yeah.
like I think for the Wolves' second goal, he was a player that was back, tried to stem the flow, but didn't succeed. It's just, I think he's got this reputation now or he does eight out of 10 things right, but you only hear about the other two. He certainly what I like about Emerson was there was a last season before, he paid for his own fitness coach to get him back up to a level that he felt
life coach.
Life coach, yeah. Like he did that because he wanted. Then there was talk of what he wanted to leave Tottenham last season. To me, he's a squad player at best, but we've got to make do with him today until Porro comes back. Unless now Dragusin gets the nod, which I doubt. I take what Jack says. I don't think the time for experimenting is here at the minute. You do it early season or whatever, or pre-season. So let's just hope that he has a good game today. But you can be sure, like the Palace new manager, the German guy, was at the Wolves game. He would have noticed where the weaknesses are on the Tottenham team. So you can be sure that's where they're going to concentrate their efforts today, is on Emerson's side. Because they know that destiny's up to any challenge you put towards them, but Royale isn't. Now, I believe that Eze is back today as well for them, which is going to cause us problems. I think he's been missing for a while for Palace. So let's hope that he plays well and that he gets the support and the cover from the players in front of him, because he will be exploited today by Palace.
Dermo, where are you at with it? Are you starting to maybe lose confidence in Emerson at right back? Do you think he's capable of improving his game even further? Philip alluded to it. He's improved it from where he first came. Can he improve it even more?
Yeah, look, I love Emerson. I didn't at the start. And
is he your favourite player?
Look, he's a player I respect because of what he's done off the pitch. He's gone. He's paid for his own life coach. He's done everything himself, like Richarlison as well. Richarlison does the same thing. So these Brazilian players do take responsibility. They take because they say, well, it's my fault. It's my job to make myself a better player. Emerson is a far better player than he was when he first signed for us. No question about that. He's done well when he's been called into centre-back this season. When we needed him, he stood up and be counted. I feel it is that's where our weak link will be today, though, sadly. But as a squad player to come in and help when we need help, I'll keep him. And he's improved so much. But I agree with Philip. That's going to be our weak link today. But do you know what? He may surprise us all and have a bloody blinder. And I hope he bloody well does, because for me, there's still fans out there don't want him at the club. And I feel we do. He's the best out of a bad bunch that have left. But for me, yeah, I hope he plays a blinder today and sticks two fingers up to everyone that's doubted him and said, I'm back. I'm here to stay. I'm Emerson. And go on. Do it for me, son.
Oh, I really do hope so, Tron. I really do hope so. Look, I like Emerson personally. I'll be quick, and then I'll let Jack in here. Look, I like Emerson. Too many players over the last few years have come out moaning to the press, bitching and complaining about managers and everything they've been doing. They moaned about the fans giving them a hard time. Emerson didn't. He took that on board. He says, okay, maybe there's some truth to this. I'll go and invest in myself, use the big money that the club are paying for me, and making sure everything's right off the field so that it replicates on the field. And he has become a better player. Now, I do think he's unlucky in the fact that we've got the best right back at the club that I've seen in years. I'd even go back in terms of technical ability and what he does going forward, better than Kyle Walker. The way he shoots and crosses the ball. Is Emerson ever going to reach that standard? I don't think so, but it's I don't think you'll get many in that will. I don't think you'll get in a backup that will. Is Emerson defensively solid? For me, I think he is. Even when he moved into centre-back, he's never played there in his life, but he didn't make anywhere near the same mistakes that Ben Davies did. And Ben Davies has had a number of years in that position. But I still got people saying to me, oh, Dave, be nice to Ben. He's a good squad player. I'm sorry, he's not. Emerson Royale is the example of a squad player I want. That okay, not blessed on the ball, but defensively, he will do a job for you. So for me, I'm okay with Emerson. I think just if he wants to take his game to the new level, I think his confidence is too high. The fact that he draws players into him all the time, he thinks he's Ronaldinho, and he just doesn't have that about him. For me, one touch, moving on. That's what he needs to do. Jacko, Emerson, take it away, lad.
If I looked like Emerson, I would also have that confidence as well, to be perfectly honest. But I defend him a lot. I just feel like we have to call a spade, or at least be fair. Whether you love Emerson, whether you hate Emerson, we have to admit last time he played was not one of his best performances, both on the ball and just in general. I just don't think he was, even because even when you rely on him defensively, he has that aggression that we can usually rely on. Good in the air, does a lot of sort of elements of the game defensively that not every player can really do. And I'm not even sure if I saw that as consistently in the last game as I would have liked. So I'm just going to be fair about it and say that wasn't one of Emerson's best games. But then let's think of like this season. Let's think of last season. Emerson has stepped up on plenty of occasions when called upon, whether it's as a right wing back, whether it's as a center back, as a left wing back. He's done a job and we've gotten wins. We've not always won the game because of Emerson or anything like that, but he's done his job. He hasn't hurt us in a lot of times when we won games. I can even think of, what was it, the 3-1 win over Bournemouth, right? Where it was Davies and Emerson at center back. I remember Emerson was like the man of the match that game, or like something like that. I remember most people were saying when we played that game. He actually almost deserved a clean sheet, if I recall from it. So I'd say, like, if we're going to be critical about Emerson's last performance, well, you're welcome to do so. I think it's totally, justified. But then you have to give him credit for the other times when he has stepped up and he has showed to be a valuable squad player, like you brought up before. So for me, Dave, if we're going to make excuses and, give time and patience to players like Bissouma, for example, Bentancur, for example, that are going through a bad spell, not showing a lot of consistency, I think we should do the same for Emerson here. Like, he has one bad game and now everybody hates him again and everybody wants to sell him when he's stood up, and it's actually helped us at stages this season. So I just think we have to be fair to the guy. Whether you like him or you love him, I think we got to be a bit fair.
And if you're anyone that argued with me that Dyer was a squad player or Sanchez was a good squad player over the last few years, then I think Emerson's got another 6-7 years left at this football club. So get used to him, is what I would say. No, I'm only messing. Look, for me, I agree with Jack, though. I do think, in terms of a guy that can feel right across the back line, versatility, I'm okay with him. Let's not look. He's not going to sit here and play every single game, every single week, is he? Even this season, since we've got our defenders back, we've seen big parts of him. For me, I'm okay. Big up the owl lad. Says, I like Royale because he doesn't moan when he is not picked and plays his heart out when he comes on. A great squad player. Oh, that's unusual for you. I thought you'd be in here saying I absolutely
bring Doherty back.
Get rid of him. That if my old lad's saying he likes him and he thinks he's a good squad player, I think people need to stand up and take notice of that. I didn't think thought I was going to get a bollocking next time I went over to the house. Dave, stop talking shite about Emerson on your stream. Big up the old lad. Hopefully you and the family are keeping well. Let's take a couple of super chats and then I want to talk about the number 6 and then talk about the striker position. So Dark Sun G, don't worry, I do have your one before that, but I'm going to keep that for when we actually get on to Sun and you can steer that talking point, my man. He says Ange will finish the season in top 4 and he will be the first manager in a long time to finish a whole season. Our squad is still raw, so no worries. Come on, you Spurs. Well, Dax OG, this is one of the biggest problems at Tottenham. We haven't had a manager finish in the dugout for a full season since Pochettino, which is absolutely shocking. That's what, 3-4 years?
Yeah.
And, relegation teams usually is what happens. That usually happens at relegation teams. So for me, that's not sustainable. At some point, you have to give a manager time. You have to give him patience to build something. We're not Man City. We can't go and buy it overnight. And even if we can't, Daniel Levy ain't going to do it. So therefore, the manager needs time to be able to build it, regardless of what your thoughts are on the money situation. With the way we operate, it's going to take time. People moaning about the games over the last 13, 15 games. Let's be brutally honest. Half of them aren't even his players that he's using. Most of them aren't even his players that he's using. Players he was using in the first 10 games are his players. And look at the massive difference in it. So for me, I think people just need to get off Andrew's back. Top 4, I'm not going to lie, that excellent G. I'm starting to get nervous, my man. I look at patterns from years gone by and, let's not forget, as much as people hate Conte, we were in the exact same position this time last year on the contest, still with a hope of top 4, and we never went on to realise that. I think there was a period under Jose Mourinho as well. We were close to top 4, never really went on to realise that. This time, I hope it's different, Dark Sunjay. I really do. Today will tell me everything I need to know, I think. Jack, anything you want to say to Dark Sunjay?
really making me chuckle that he could be the first manager in a long time to actually complete the
It's
whole
shocking.
season. Like here,
I want to laugh, but it's embarrassing.
I'm laughing about it because I've said to you before, like I think we've weirdly become a bit of a Watford, like in the last 4 or 5 years, where we really are sacking managers at a rate that is, kind of impressive. So that it is actually a feat to be a Spurs manager to complete a whole season and finish inside the top 4. Like there hasn't been a manager to have done that at Spurs in quite a long time. The majority of managers who have finished in the top 4 took over from another manager to then get us in there, right? And it hasn't been the case that a manager started off the season, then finished inside the top 4 since probably the days of Pochettino. So it is quite funny to think about Dark Sun G. And that even shows what an achievement for Ange if he were to be able to do that. Because just, a bit of context for some of the Ange haters, right? Like if he were able to do that, that'd be pretty impressive. And then also what I'm thinking of too is Dark Sun G, Dave, in the past, he's been very good with his top 4 predictions, right? He's always, been a guy that's gone early on the top 4 predictions. And a couple of times he's been right and, been even too kind to not rub it in people's face, I would say, on a couple of occasions when he's been right about the top 4 predictions.
Pretty sure he was with us on the one under Conte. He was in there every week. Right. Oh, guys, don't worry, we're going to get it. Dark Sun G,
got a knack for it.
I hope you're right, brother. I really do. I want to be back in that Champions League next year. New format. I want to be a part of that, lad. Some big teams coming to town. That would be nice. He also says, on your point on the squad, we came a long way from the days of Tanguy, Sanchez, Dyer, Bobo, Sissoko, Doherty, Lloris, Winks, who showed no fight prior. I nearly fainted reading that, Dark Sun G. Honestly, the headaches that these guys used to give me, but it wasn't just me. Philip, you were getting fed up with a lot of these guys, a lot of the performances that they were putting in for the club as well. And I think we have come a long way in terms of recruitment, right? But there's still a bit more to do.
Yeah. I mean, we've had 2 good transfer windows, the summer and the winter one there. And look what's coming in the summer. Lucas Bergvall, the wonder kid from Sweden. We've got that young lad, the centre-back from Croatia, when he becomes 18, he's coming in. So that's 2 new additions to the squad before we even start looking at other players that we will be bringing in. So yeah, I mean, Sanchez, Dyer, Sissoko. I mean, good God. I mean, what we have now is way, way ahead of them in quality, and it's just a matter of giving them time to bed in and do what we know what they can do. And I think that I think when I say this, I think team players, right, are going to want to come to Tottenham now, whereas 2 seasons ago, their agents would have been advising them against coming to Tottenham. Nowadays, we should be able to get the pick of the bunch, providing the money is made available, obviously, to do that. But I think if Daniel Levy has any sense, he can see what's happening at the club now, and he's got to stick with Ange. He's got to do what he wants, give Ange what he wants. If that's the case, the old Kevin Costner thing in Field of Dreams, if you build it, they will come, and they being trophies.
Yeah. No, absolutely spot on. Absolutely spot on. But Dark Sun G, I mean, they were dark days. I mean, I used to hate being a Spurs fan back then, watching just watching them being rolled out every week, and then watching Jose Mourinho being criticised. The guy's won multiple leagues across different countries, Champions Leagues, every European football, every cup in European football there is. And he used to get blamed for Sissoko not being able to trap a ball. He used to get blamed for Harry Winks being a little pussy. Tanguy Ndombele used to get blamed for not getting the best out of him. Sanchez, by the way, people think we were harsh booing Sanchez last year. Go and see the treatment that Tanguy Ndombele is getting out in Turkey. And, you tell me that I come back here and tell me I'm harsh in future on players. I think you'll find it's night and day. I think you'll find I'm actually being soft on them, to be brutally honest. But Dark Sun G, big yourself up. Like I said, nearly fainted reading out them names. It's good. Now we're talking about Porro, Adoji, Romero, Van de Ven, Kulu, Bentancur, Sarr, Madison. We're talking about complete different players, my man. And hopefully they prove that today. Hopefully they don't play like some of them names. Big up, Dark Sun G. Really appreciate the support, brother. And then now this brings me perfectly on to the next topic, the Big D, absolute legend. And then we'll go back to another super chat from Dark Sun G and we'll talk about the forward line. But the Big D, good to see you, sir. Hopefully life is treating you well. He says, big up, lads. Happy Saturday. I love Bissouma as a player, but he doesn't look bothered lately, and it frustrates me as I know his potential. The thoughts. Which is a great question, because I'm going to ask the guys a question off the back of this as well. Look, I'll take the Bissouma part quickly. He doesn't look interested. I mean, if he was locked in on everything, that second goal wouldn't have happened against Wolves. He would have just simply threw his head over the shoulder, went and dealt with it. He didn't do that. It's almost like he was waiting for everyone else to do it for him. You look at the way, he was playing before that suspension, before AFCON. It was nowhere near. It was a complete drop-off from where he was at the start of the season. The reason why it was a lot of effective at the start of the season as well is Bissouma was on it. Bissouma was getting on the ball, taking players on, linking up 1-2s, He was really at it. And not only that, he was aggressive in helping turn over the ball as well. All of a sudden, it dropped off. He wasn't turning over the ball as much. He was just getting the ball, taking the simple things. Another thing that annoys me a little bit about Bissouma, he takes more risk on the edge of our own box than what he does up on the edge of the opposition's box, which is a problem for me in that regard. Okay, I understand he's asked to take risk on the edge of the own box. Okay, if you're asked to take risk on your own box, you can imagine what Andrew's asking him to do outside the opposition box then, can't you? So for me, I completely agree with you on Bissouma. Do I think Postecoglou will be able to get the best out of him before the end of the season? I'm not quite so sure. I think everyone went a little bit early and started blaming Conte for all of Bissouma's faults. But turns out Bissouma has a point to prove. He's got to prove that he can do it from the start of the season and show consistency all the way through to the end of the season and not drop off wildly like he has done. But I'm going to use this to bring on to talk about who people want to see in the number 6. Of course, Bissouma was brought back into the Tottenham 11 against Wolves after his recent absence due to suspension and international duty. I personally found his performance lackluster yet again, but Bentancur is also trying to find his form after his 2 injury layoffs this season. So the big question is, who do we play at number 6? You got 2 players wildly out of form, so please give me your opinion in the chat. Dermo, I don't think we start with you in a while, so we'll get you to kick this one off, and we'll work up the Jack and our way around to Philip. What's your thoughts on what Big D is here saying about Bissouma? Who do you want to see in number 6 today?
I agree with him. I think Bissouma hasn't been a player since he dived and got himself sent off against Luton. And I think that's embarrassing to begin with. I mean, he blatantly dived. And for me, I lost a bit of respect for him when he did that, because he was playing well up to then. I put Bentancur in there. Bentancur's a far better player than Bissouma. Bissouma is young, but he doesn't. He seemed that he just shrugs it off. Okay, it's all right. Don't worry about it. We'll carry on. Where Bissouma, if he made a mistake, you could see him. You could see it in his face, like, right, I've got to run back and make up for that. I've got to make up for that mistake. Where Bissouma is, well, don't worry, I'll get it next time. Sort of attitudes, and I don't like his attitude. I don't think it's Mourinho's or Conte's fault with him. I think his attitude as well had something to do with that. And I think Ange is now starting to see that bit of same attitude is I'm too big for my boot. Too big for my boots. I'm a big player. Do you know what I mean? I'm a big lad. Do you know I'm the best and you're not? So I would put Bentancur. But for me, Bissouma needs to pull up his socks and take a hard look at himself in the mirror and decide what's he want to do. Does he want to be a good number 6, a brilliant number 6 that's dedicated, that wants to put in every time he goes out on that pitch to 120%, or does he want to be a player that only puts in 80% and that will do? For me, no. Bentancur for me all day long.
Jack, would you agree with Dermo that it's maybe, is it an attitude problem with Bissouma? The Big D says here it also coincides with, the where he was at the first 10 games of the season compared to where he's been at since. It kind of coincides with a drop-off in results. A lot of people have blamed injuries and suspensions, but, it's not only to blame, right? I describe our number 6 as the ticking heartbeat of the team. It dictates the tempo that we play at.
It's hard for me because I really rate Bissouma and I really like Bissouma. I don't think he's like a problem character or anything like that in a dressing room, like he's causing rifts or clicks or anything like that. I think what his issue could be on the mental side of things is actually just concentration and focus, because at times we've seen him just doing like a like what ridiculous spins and turns in front of his own penalty area and then losing it. And you're like, yeah, Bissouma, we know that you're the one guy who can try to do that and can probably pull it off, but he's gotten away with it, in periods, and he's been punished for it at other times, right? For having that sort of cockiness on the ball and maybe thinking that he can, pull off this sort of touch when he probably shouldn't even be trying it in the first place, type of thing. And I think Bissouma has just been a bit guilty of that, where he knows he's a very good player. I know he's a very good player, but you have to also match that talent with concentration and focus and good decision making. And I wouldn't say that's been consistent with Bissouma of late. His decision making hasn't been the best. Some of his concentration levels haven't been on the best. But to say he's like a distraction to the squad, or to say that he's like a bad influence on the squad, I would never go that far. I think he's actually somebody that's clearly well liked, somebody that a lot of the teammates seem to vibe around, have a good time around. Not saying he's a leader or anything by any means, but doesn't seem to, again, be like, a bad influence on the rest of the players. So I think it's actually more just in Bissouma on an individual basis needs to sharpen up, focus up, because we know he's a brilliant player and his future is more in the number 6 position than it really is in the number 8. I think Bentancur is a fine player. It can make an adaptation or an adaptation to go to the number 8 position, whereas Bissouma I don't think can make that jump nearly as well, because I don't think he's as good going forward, and or even scoring or being in the penalty area as much as someone like a Bentancur can be. So Bissouma, if he has his future at Spurs, it's in that number 6 position, and he's got to realize he's got to lock it down, because it's the most important position probably in this system. It's what makes the team tick. And in the beginning of the season, part of the reason why Spurs were playing so well is because Bissouma was playing so well in that number 6 position. So you need to get him back to his best. I'm not sure how you do that, because I think it's mostly on him. I'd say you continue to play him because Ange Postecoglou has a lot of faith in him. I have a lot of faith in him. I just hope that Bissouma sort of repays it. And I just think for me, it's just more down to concentration levels than it really is to, him losing himself or whatever it might be. I just think the guy's just got to kind of just focus himself, concentrate, and realize that, he is a terrific player, but terrific players, they have to do all the basics like the rest of the players on the pitch as well.
I agree with you. I don't think he's a bad influence around people, but I do think he's got an attitude problem in a sense that he believes his own hype. And I think, it's sort of, he believes he's better than what he is, rather than maybe having a bit of a reality check sometimes and saying, am I, as good as I can be, because I agree with you, Jack. I think he's got insane ability, immense ability, but I just don't think he drags it out of himself, enough for the ability that he does possess. And that's actually what my issue is with him. I look at him, I know what he can do, but he doesn't do it, and he doesn't drag it out of himself on a consistent basis. And I actually would say that's probably what the Big D's problem is with him as well, to be brutally honest on that one. I mean, Philip, where do you stand? Who do you want to see in that number 6 role today?
I'm going to go for Bentancur, but I'm going to disagree. I'm not going to disagree with you what you said about Bissouma. I think, and the reason it hasn't been mentioned, it's been mentioned in the chat there, and I think it's very relevant. The guy has had malaria in the last 3 months, right? Now, the last time I can remember a Spurs player having anything like that, it's a completely different disease. But Jimmy Greaves, back in his later days at Tottenham, picked up hepatitis, and it knocked him sideways for nearly a whole season. So I'm saying some of what you're saying is probably relevant, but I also think the malaria in his system has had an effect on him, because malaria is a terrible disease to get.
But what about before that, though, Philip?
What's that?
What about before that? Because his form dropped off.
You don't know how long he's had it. It's a contributing factor to what's been going on. It's part of the problem. And I think once he's got his full health back, I think we'll probably go back to the player he was when we got him, or for the first few games of this season. But I would go for Bentancur today. I think Bentancur deserves a start. Maybe it's the pants for Bissouma for the way he played last week. More than that. Listen, you didn't perform, you're out. But get your act together.
Fair. Philip laying down the law. Absolutely love that. Me, I do like Bentancur. I'd like to keep a bit of faith in him for what he's done for us, the last couple of seasons in that midfield. But I do think Postecoglou probably will throw Bissouma back out there. It is his guy. But But big up, Big D. Really appreciate the support,
Great
man.
talking
Led
point.
into a great discussion, great talking point. Ray Martin says problem with Spurs is insufficient depth to play European soccer games twice per week. So top 4 1 year, next year top 8, rinse and repeat. Absolutely agree with you. I mean, this is what I've been saying for a long time. Stop pissing about with these squad players and trying to tell me some of them are good enough to be here. They clearly ain't. You know, but our biggest problem is the reason why we go out the FA Cup early, the League Cup early. You know, don't get any long roads into Europe anymore. It's because we don't build a squad to complete. We sit here, we go out with a good first 11, maybe 1 or 2 players off the bench. You carry some injuries and suspensions, which is part and parcel of football nowadays, with how many games they're asked to roll out and play. And then all of a sudden we bring in the squad players and everything drops off completely. You're absolutely spot on. We just don't have that depth. And that's what I want to see improved heading into next season. I'd also argue, I think managers could do a better job in creating a bit of depth. Okay, if the window's closed, go and get some of the under 21s, because I can tell you now, a real player will not want to see a kid start in front of him and will not allow that to happen because he's got pride. But I don't think managers are willing to give any of these youngsters the opportunity to be able to create that bit of squad depth in that regard, or give some of these senior players a bit of a kick up the hole. But you're absolutely spot on, and that's what I'm going to be my campaign over the summer. Build to challenge on all 4 fronts. It's that simple. I don't want to hear anyone come to summer and go, but Dave, are you being harsh on Dave? He's a good squad player. The reality is he can't play left back, and he also can't play centre back. He can go. Ollie Skip, nowhere near good enough. Can't play any of the positions in the midfield. He can go. Got to stop thinking about with these and going, but no. You either can do it or you can't. If you can't, get gone and let's move on so we can actually start competing. And that's been our biggest problem, Ray, is not having that squad built out. You're absolutely spot on in that regard. Big up, Ray, my man. Guys, moving on to the front three. We'll take Dark Sungji's super chat here. And he says, Dyer stays until next season, laughing my ass off. He says, maybe we can take some Bayern players to save them from Dyer. I'll take Kane back, I'll tell you that. He says he is the same on the left wing as a number 9. Remember when Kane was out, it was Son in the number 9. And he delivered. I think you raise a very good point. I'd argue, Richarlison done that when Son was out, which was good. Me personally, the reason why I've always wanted Son out on the left is because he's played there his whole career. He's going to score loads of goals. He's already scored loads of goals. He always scores loads of goals off the left every season, along with the assist. And right now, we don't have wingers that can create. And that's where I think he's best suited for Tottenham Hotspur. However, with Richarlison's injury, Timo Werner wouldn't hit a barn door with a 747 Boeing airplane. So for me, I think you've got to put Son back up front today, but that puts a lot of pressures on the wingers to create. Puts a lot of pressure on Maddison to be able to go and create. It's not like we can just put balls in the box and get Sonny to expect Sonny to go and beat Anderson in the air. That ain't going to happen. So it's going to have to be very intricate. And hopefully that happens today, Dark Sunji. But look, we'll go around to the rest of the panel, find out what their front three is, because look, it didn't click against Wolves. Let's not kid ourselves. We're carrying an injury now to Richarlison, so there has to be changes. I want to know off each one of you, what's your front three? Do you want to see, should Son stay on the left as a winger, or should he be moved into the striker position and bring someone else in? Jack, we'll start with you, lad.
It's a hard one for me. It's a really hard one. I think Sonny's the best player in that whole front line. I want him to be on the ball as often as possible, especially coming up against what I think is going to be a very low block, defensive-minded Crystal Palace team. So we're going to have to work around them, have to break them down. So I'd rather our creative players, our more technical players, be on the ball as often as possible. For me, Sonny is easily the most technically gifted player of that whole front line. I'd rather play him in a position where he's going to be on the ball a lot and is going to be able to make things happen. For me personally, Dark Sunji, under that logic where I'd rather be giving it to someone more often who is going to make something happen than to someone who isn't going to make something happen, like a Werner on the left, I'd personally go for Sonny down the left. What does that mean then for striker? I'm a little worried because, Werner is an option down the middle, but I don't think he's that serious of an option down there. It's not like he's going to really be able to find the space either. I think Sonny would probably be able to find more space than really Werner would when it comes to in that penalty area. And then on the right, Kulusevski is someone I'd rather have out there than Brennan Johnson. But if I'm moving Sonny to the left, it's hard for me. It's really difficult. I might go with, for me, Dave, and it sounds delusional, but it's under the logic that I think the wingers are going to be on the ball the majority of this game. Like, I don't think it's going to be the striker that's going to have a ton of options and it's going to have a ton of time to get on the ball, make something happen. I think the striker in this game is going to be surrounded by 3 center backs and is going to struggle to find any space. So I'd rather just play someone there who might get lucky and end up, with an easy tap in and have someone else do the hard work and creating the goals, creating the chances. So I'm going to go Sonny on the left, Werner down the middle, Kulusevski on the right. It doesn't fill me with confidence, so really doesn't. And Sonny's the best player in the whole forward line. I wish I had 3 Sonnys to make my job a whole lot easier when it comes to picking this forward line.
I wonder how people feel about Kulu down the middle. It's something I'm dying to see.
I was trying to rationalize it, but it would mean throwing Brennan Johnson in on the right, and I'm not too confident about that.
Yeah, true. True, very true. Philip, what front three do you want to see rolled out here today?
I want to see Son down the middle because he was flattering to deceive against Wolves, did nothing, never really did anything. I think I want the same front three as Jack, but a different position. I think Werner down the left and Kulu down the right and Son down the middle. And if that doesn't work, switch Sonny and Werner, put Werner down the middle and put Sonny back out on the left. I think Johnson will come on at some stage if we're not performing. And I'll tell you who I want. I'd like to see Dane Scarlett be on the bench today and maybe bring him on as an option. And even Jamie Donnelly. Jamie Donnelly's tearing up trees in the under 21s and deserves at least to be on the squad today.
You're not allowed call for youngsters to play, Philip. I learned that lesson, 4 months ago? Everyone told me, you can't play youngsters, this, that, and the other.
I'll put him on the bench. Put him on the bench. I don't know.
No, we'll get on to Donnelly now in a second. That's my last question of the evening. Look, I just don't like Werner down the wing. I don't like it, Philip. I just think, to Jack's point, he can't cross with his left boot. He constantly has to cut back inside and stuff like that. Would you be opposed to putting Kulu left-footed left side, Werner right-footed right side?
Well, it'd be I'll tell you, I think he dropped dead with shock if that happened, because we always seem to play the wingers on the wrong side, always. So, try it. I'm open to anything. As long as it brings us goals, I'm open to anything. Yeah.
I'm with you. I just want to see goals today. I just want to see goals. Dermo, what's your front three for today's game, sir?
Well, firstly, I'm also you, Dave. I need to start. And Philip disagrees with me, but I think you can do it with the kids. I really do. But that's for another subject and another time. My front three, I picked it in my predicted lineup yesterday with Sonny down the middle, Kulu on the Kulu and Johnson as the wingers. I just feel want to do something different. I think Sonny up down the middle is a no-brainer. Without Richarlison, it's a no-brainer. Kulu as well on the one wing, but I think Johnson on the other wing. I think he will cause Palace hassle today. And I know Johnson's not everyone's favourite player. I know he makes mistakes, and I know he's not everyone's cup of tea. But I see something in him. I see potential there. I see a potential for him once he could be another Gareth Bale. And how bad Gareth Bale started when he first come. We couldn't get a win under Gareth Bale. And what did he turn into? Johnson has the same potential. And with Ange teaching them and guiding them through all the pitfalls of being a player, I think Johnson, for me, is a player for the future. And I was starting today. I'd bench Werner and put Johnson there. And put Sonny down the middle. Kulu, yes. Also, I would put somebody else on the wing. Probably go a bit different. 2 up front, and just put Donnelly behind the front 2. Just go something completely different. But I think Werner's had his time. He needs to be benched. Bring back Big J. He's the one that would do it today, and Sonny down the middle.
But before Werner leaves in the summer, I just want him to score 1 goal, because his song is a real crowd pleaser. It'll get everyone going. Everyone wants to see Dave do the moonwalk. So please, Werner, please bag me 1 goal before you leave. Look, I'll be brutally honest. If I had my way with the front three, I'd actually play Kulu up top. I'd keep Sonny off the left-hand side. And I'd probably give Werner the opportunity on the right-hand side and then maybe switch him up with Johnson. I think Kulu could play up front. I think he's a very similar build to Harry Kane. He can hold you up the ball, no problem. He can get turned and run with the ball. And also, he's a guy you can cross the ball to as well. So for me, I think that's maybe an option we should look at. But look, Son will start down the middle today, I'm guessing. And hopefully he goes and bags us a couple of goals and leads us to glory. Because at the end of the day, we need 3 points and we need Sonny to step up. He's our best player at this football club. So hopefully he can go and do that. And he does actually have a good record against Palace. He's been in 15 Premier League appearances against them, and he's been involved in 10 goals. I believe that's 8 goals, 2 assists. So more of that today. Sonny, big up Dark Sun G, my man. Really appreciate the support.
Just last point though, Sonny.
How many is Sonny gonna get? Let me know. Go on, Jacko.
Last point. Sonny is a terrific player, Dark Sun G. I actually think he's one of the few players that can actually legitimately say, I can do a job very well at an elite level as a striker as well as a winger. I think some players can sort of like do a job, like they can sort of fill in a position, do the basic requirements, but Sonny genuinely can sort of play at an elite level in either position. And that's what makes him a terrific player. And it also gives me a headache because I'd love to have 2 of him for this game to make my job a lot easier when it comes to picking where he should play ahead of this one. And also the days of having, a couple of games under Conte, we used to do Kane and Son up top. Sometimes those were really terrific to watch those 2 just work together just by themselves as 2 strikers. Big up Dark Sun G.
Big up Dark Sun G. 2 sons, like Jack said, would be easy. Let me know if there's a new Sonny coming through that we can go after. Vince Vega says, glad to be a flat cap. Come on, you Spurs member for 28 months. Outstanding service to you, Vince Vega, my boy from Cyprus, if I still remember correctly, sir. And let's go, my man. Hopefully we can get the win today. And of course, I'm proud to be a flat cap too, my man. Everyone that wears a flat cap is absolutely great. So big yourself up. Vince Vega, Davy Shire's gifted out a membership. Jacko's the lucky recipient, sir.
Yes, let me find this one. I think, let me go back a bit. Just drum roll, please, ahead of this one, please, everybody.
He's gifted out 2, so you can do the 2.
Jazzy Fusion was gifted one. Big up to Jazzy Fusion. Of course, loyal member as always in the chat as well. Big up to you, Jazzy Fusion. Do take advantage of it. And Machiavelli also given one as well. Great name. I actually recently even watched a video on Machiavelli and sort of some of his work. So big up to Machiavelli. Appreciate Davy Shire as well, gifting out the memberships. Please take advantage of it. Machiavelli and Jazzy Fusion. Feel free as well to check out Dave and I's pre-match thoughts. Anything that maybe we've referenced. I think we usually do reference things that we say on that preview. So feel free to check up on that and see if we're speaking the truth. Big up to you.
Nah, big up, guys. Big up Machiavelli. I believe he inspired a lot of Tupac songs, so big up Machiavelli. And also Jazzy Fusion. Big yourself up, sir. Guys, make sure you get yourself in the community section and all that good stuff. And Davy Shire, you're too kind,
Very
my
generous.
man. Big yourself up and really appreciate the support, brother. Faz Radfar 3-1 Spurs. Who would you put in top 5 transfer outs this summer? Ben Davies, top of my list. Skip probably can go as well, if not sold, maybe a loan to see, he's on that age 23, see whether he's going to kick on or not. Sadly, I think Højbjerg's going to be on that list, whether I want him to or not.
Lo Celso, I'd put on
Lo Celso, Jack spot on, has to be on that list. And if we can't, Sessegnon, he's got to go.
Yeah,
I feel sorry for him with the injuries he carries and stuff like that. Obviously, it's not nice for any elite athlete and stuff. But at the end of the day, he's not doing anything for me. So, he's not doing anything for the club. So, for me, that's got to be on the list, Davey. Faz Radfar, but do not worry about that. Come the end of the season, I've already got plans, ahead to get videos out like that, my man. So, big yourself up. Faz Radfar, really appreciate the support, brother. And then on to the last one of the evening. And then we'll go around the house to get the score predictions. And then I need to head to Tottenham TV. But guys, make sure everyone gets back here for 2:30 with the sandwiches already made, with your drinks ready to go. If you could get one of them hats with the 2 drinks and the straws, that'd be even better. And let's get ready to pump some Palace. That'd be brilliant. But Donovan Oosterreicher, member for 20 months. Hopefully he's not opening up a big, massive can of worms here. He says, give Lancashire a go. Start Werner, then swap for Young with Young Will at 60 minutes. If it's not working, the lad is built like an ox and takes after a young Kane. Do you know what, on this one, Donovan, I've had to do a bit of a reassessment on this. I'll be brutally honest. A lot of what I was seeing from Will Lancashire in the under-21s for a period of time was not good enough. However, of late, he's been on absolute fire. And I'm not going to lie, that Donnelly-Lancashire link-up, was Kane and Son replicated in youth football. That's exactly what it was. It was absolutely a joy to watch. And do you know what? When you analyse Will Lancashire, the ball goes in the box, he puts it in the back of the net. Now, don't get me wrong, there's been a few fortunate goals. There's been some where defenders have gone to clear it. He hasn't known anything about it. It's hit off him and it's found its way into the corner of the net and stuff like that. But the fact that he hasn't been loaned out and stuff like that, I wonder, are the club developing him? Is he going to be one of them late bloomers like a Harry Kane was, where maybe, he doesn't grow properly into everything till he's at 20, 21, 22, 23 years of age, and then maybe kicks on from there. But look, he's definitely got the finishing for sure. The player I'd actually be looking at is, I'd be looking to give Donnelly an opportunity at all costs. His last performance, and everyone, I'm not just hopping on the bandwagon. I've been on this since, way before the summer. Some of his passes were De Bruyne-esque. If De Bruyne was doing that, people would be sitting there, making compilation reels about and sitting in a dark room with tissues. At the end of the day, Donnelly's absolutely sensational. His stats this season are as follows. He's made 19 appearances for the under-21 side this season with 7 goals and 17 assists to his name, which clearly goes to show he is way too good for the under-21s. But when you look at that terms and creativity, what's more impressive about someone like Donnelly is the fact that he came through with the system as a striker. It was only because of injuries last year in the under-21s and stuff like that they were asking him to play in a deeper role in midfield, off the flanks and stuff like that. But his input to games in terms of goals and assists, it never changed. And that's why you're seeing him play more as a deeper position now. He's the tempo setter that under-21s. People talk about the intensity of the press. Every game I've watched of him this season, that intensity has always been there. It doesn't matter the opposition. He leads that press for the under-21s. Not only that, he's absolutely quality on the ball. For me, I don't understand why this kid isn't getting more opportunities off the bench, or some of the kids in general. That game against Wolves, you're telling me what you couldn't throw Donnelly on for 10, 15 minutes to see if he will spark the game into life. I hear a lot, Spurs, we're not in a position to use youth players. Okay, Man City are chasing for trophies every single season. Oscar Bob, Rico Lewis, they brought forward and through players like that. So if Man City are in a position to do it, don't tell me we're not. Newcastle United with the injury crisis, they bought through Lewis Miley, 16 years of age. Liverpool went on to win a Carabao Cup, and also doubled down in the FA Cup during the week with the kids. And we're sitting there playing full internationals against Fulham and going out because some players don't care. My whole point is, at least these kids care. At least they want to make the breakthrough. And bringing them on, sometimes they can't inspire you to life. And I want to see someone like Donnelly get a lot more minutes than what he is. I want to see Dorrington get more minutes than what he's got this season, and also going forward next season, I want to see the likes of Lancashire and people like that. Phillips when he comes back, Devine when he comes back. I want to see them give them minutes. It's how you can fill out a squad, and then the players that you do buy, you focus on improving your first 11, which then naturally through the cycle will drop players out and will give you a full squad all the way through to go and compete on all top 4. That's all I'm going to say on the under-21s, because I remember a lot of people debating with me earlier on in the season saying, Dave, they're not good enough, this, that, and the other. Well, I think I've proved, not me, I think some of the under-21s have proven otherwise. You look at Phillips at Plymouth, they can't believe they got him, the caliber of player he is, how good he is. So that's where I'm at on it. I think we should be using the under-21s a lot more. It's not like we've got some average generation coming through. You've got guys that won the under-17 Premier League Cup, the under-18 Premier League Cup. They're on course for an under-18 league this year. They're on course for an under-21 league and cup double this year. You've got a golden generation. The class of 91 at Man United was built off the FA Cup youth winning side. Why can't we use some of the players we've got coming through to fill out the squad in future? And that's all I'm going to say on it going forward. Completely agree with you, Donovan.
Can I add on that as well? I also think teams will have to start using the kids, sadly, but it's true, because of FFP. Clubs won't be able to spend the big money to bring these players in, so they're going to have to start looking at academies. Ferguson got it right with the class. He went in there in 86. He rejuvenated the academy of Man United, got the class of 92, went on to success. The famous quote, Alan Hansen, first game of the season, you can never win anything with kids. You can. We at Tottenham during the 80s were bringing in. Glenn Hoddle came through the system. Steve Perriman came through the system. Players like Ali Dick and players like that. Nick Barmby of the 90s came through the system. And we have to start using the kids. And I said it myself, and I've been banging on about this. Philip knows I have. That if you play the kids, play with some experienced players and the kids, them experienced players will retire. The kids then will become the experienced players. And you just keep adding them in. It's a conveyor belt. We can do it. We've done it in Tottenham in the past. We can do it again. And the article that I read that Ange is being compared to Sir Alex Ferguson, what he did at Manchester United with the academies. For me, it's a breath of fresh air, and it's very exciting for the future of what we could have and what we could be at Tottenham Hotspur, because you can win stuff with kids. Liverpool have proved that. Liverpool proved that in no uncertain terms. Yeah, Chelsea's side was slightly younger, but Liverpool's kids, you look at the valuations.
Chelsea's had a lot more experience, you know.
Yeah, exactly. It's the point I'm making. So you can win it because they have no fear. You ask a kid to go on, you just tell them, go. Ange said, or Klopp would have said to them kids, enjoy yourself. Go out, play football, enjoy yourself. They've got no fear. So they will run through a brick wall for that manager. The kids at Tottenham would do the same for Ange. They put some of the experienced players to shame. And this, if you want the future at Tottenham, use the kids. You can win with kids.
Donovan Oosterreicher says 17 assists. Bob, sign him up. He's already tied down, my man. Don't worry. Paratici got that under control. Nice and early. And Mark Cook says member for 2 months. Big up, Mark Cook. Really appreciate it. Says big up, lads. Keep up the great work. Come on, you Spurs. Big up, Marky Cook. Really appreciate that support. Let's go, my man. I mean, Philip, Jack, any you want to have a quick say on that before we get your score predictions and end off?
No, I think I've talked about the youth with Dermot. I agree, bringing youth, but not bring him in gradually. Don't bring him in 3 or 4 at a time, because that doesn't work. But that's for another day. That's for another day.
No, look, I agree with that. Like, you know, I don't want to get that misconstrued. I'm not advocating for the whole under-21 squad to come through. I'm not naive to know that, you know, obviously they're all not good enough, but there are a couple that we could definitely sort of filter in at some point. Jack, anything you want to say, my man?
Donovan mentioned that Lancashire is built like an ox. I'd say he's built like a Donovision, because lately, you know, we've seen Donovision. He's hitting the gym, going on these workouts. So maybe Lancashire is taking a page out of your book, Donovan. Maybe he's on your workout regimen, because he's looking like you these days. I would say though, he's also got like one of those, for how young he is. He has like the chin of like a 45-year-old man. Lancashire, he really does. His jawline is like one of like a 50-year-old man. So he does look like, you know, somebody that is definitely above the 18 sort of category. Big up, Donovan. Appreciate you, son.
Yeah, big up, Donovan, my man. I love that. I love that. You set me going right near the end, Donovan. That, you know, that's a stream that needs 3 hours. Big yourself up, though, my man. Really do appreciate the support. But look, guys, let's go around, get everyone's quick score prediction. We'll plug THFC till I die in the chat. Make sure you guys get over there. Show the guys a lot of love. To give up their time to do this for us ahead of the game. They've also got their own game day stuff going on, so it's a hell of a lot of work for them, and I appreciate the commitment, guys. What's your score prediction?
Well, you know mine's just 3-0 or 4-0. You know me, I'm just delusional as it is. But look, 3-0. And where did Mr. Brady go? Where did he go?
Anyway, Darmo, what's your score prediction?
They haven't lost, Philip. You can stay. Tottenham haven't lost. You can stay on the stream. You're fine. Look, going for 3-0. I know Philip. I think Philip's score prediction was 2-1, by the way, or 2-0, something like that. So that's his score prediction. Yeah, get over to THFC till I die, where you will find the unholy trinity of me, Dave, and Philip. Dave, the fallen angel. Me, the delusional, whatever you want to call me, and Philip, the devil. Yeah, we've got pre-match, post-match. We've got the watch-alongs, the Premier League watch-alongs as well, which are proving popular. We're going to start covering the F1 channel. Gets a kickoff this week, but properly next week, because F1 decided it was a good idea to put them on at the same time as Tottenham's playing, which was a pain in the arse for me. But I was saying, what do I do? But Spurs won. And yeah, just we're on the march to 2K. I would love to get to 2K for the end of the season and start next season on a big front foot. We've got a lot of new graphics coming. The channel's getting a revamp in the summer, so really exciting times ahead. And yeah, please come over and like and subscribe. And thanks, guys, for having me on. I love coming on these pre-match pump-ups. They get me going. Mrs. Tron had to tie me down last night. I was running through walls yesterday. She's so annoyed that I've got so many hoes in the house because of me running. So she said, right, tying you down to your bed, Dermo. You're not getting up until Dave's pump-up show. She let me up this morning, pushed me into here. She says, right, you go and work, and I'm going to go and get my nails done. So come on,
I was going to say Valentine's Day was a few weeks ago. You probably left being tied down a little bit late. But Jacko, what's your score prediction, sir?
Once again, I was muted. Sorry. 3-0 for me. Once again, that's actually out of hope than really out of expectancy. I'm willing Spurs to a 3-0 win here because it's a must win. I'd like to think that they're pretty disappointed after that Wolves game. And so with that in mind, and also because of this stage of the season, every game matters. They should realize that. Everybody knows that. So I'd hope that the boys are going to come out very fast, very strong, and will be too much for Palace from the get-go. So I'm going to go for a 3-0, but that's really out of hope than out of expecting that.
And look, I'm going to go with what my old lad has gone with. I went with this yesterday, 2-1. I think, it could be a tight affair today. Palace will play 5 at the back. And with that creativity, hasn't been at the best lately. But I'm always open to being proven wrong, and hopefully the boys do that today. But look, nonetheless, guys, we'll see you all back here at 2:30 when we kick off the watch along. Let's all enjoy it together. Let's all get the win together. Get your sandwiches, your rolls, your roast dinners. I don't know what you're going to have for the game. Get your beers, Coke, whatever it is, and get ready for, Coca-Cola, sorry. Get yourself ready for the game. But guys, that's it from us. See you back here at 2:30. As always, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you
In
Spurs.
the mighty hands we trust. We never stop. And then lastly, sorry how rude of me. Dan Coys, appreciate it, man. Thomas, Faz Radfar, Phil Coys, Moondog, Dark Sun G, DJ Samuel, Davy Shire, the Big D, Vince Vega, Ray Martin, Donovan Oosterreicher, and Mark Cook. Guys, really appreciate you going above and beyond and for your support for the channel. But guys, it's time to go and bury some Eagles. See you back here soon. Come on, you Spurs. In the mighty hands we trust. We never stop. Let's go.
We never stop. See everybody.
Come on, Ange. Woohoo.
See you later.